Continuing on, this is the most important picture here. Now you see why the White House has a problem, because this is called the Nilotic Negro, showing original types of big heads found in Europe. By kind permission of Messrs. Hutchinson and Company, the publishers of the Ugandan Protectorate, from the Origin and Evolution of Primitive Man by Albert Churchward in 1912. So the Nilotic Negro, that's why all the people in Europe are mad at the Africans, because the Africans know that was an area that they could migrate to because that's in their history. So these are original, found in Europe. That means this is the image. When they say European, this is what it is. So this is for President Trump. This is for DHS. This is for the United Nations. This is for Antonio Guterres. This is for the Pope. This is for the Vatican. This is for the Secretary, the Jesuit General. This is for all the religions on the planet. You can't talk about equality when a so-called, quote, Caucasian by Sir Harry Johnson, so that means he was knighted back in 1912 by Elizabeth II's father, who was King Edward IV. He would have been, they were already knowledgeable that Africans or Nilotics or Negroes were in existence in Europe as well as Africa. So therefore, the original European, this is what the original European looks like. That's why the White House has to pause. That's why Donald Trump has to pause. That's why the United Nations, the Rothschilds have to pause. The Rockefellers, the stock market, Bitcoin, it all has to pause, because this is a picture from a knighthood. So the elite know that the original Europeans are dark-skinned. Now, when we go to this picture here, this is a beautiful picture. I want to get another. I have another. There we go. This one's a little bigger. I'll make this one a little bigger, even though we got it here on the screen. This is important. Races of Man. And I give much honor to essays by ecoa.com. Much appreciation to you for putting this picture up. This is priceless. And this is going to, again, set the record straight. That's why they have a problem. The White House is staying silent, because now the secret is out. The truth is out. So we'll read the article here. Let's see. Strabo mentioned the importance of migrations in history, and believing that this particular migration had proceeded from Egypt to Ethiopia, remarks, Egyptians settled Ethiopia and Colchis. End note. Now when you see races of man, you see these are the different definitions of the races. I'm just going to go down here because we're losing a little bit of resolution. Okay, so you see Caucasian here. Well, I want to make this one a little sharper. I'll drop this one down. There we go. Okay, so this is your Caucasian here, and here's where we zoom in. What's going on here? Oh, they're messing with it, huh? Okay, so I have two different tabs open and it's adjusting them at the same time. Okay, so I have to zoom this one up to 400, otherwise if I don't, oh, actually I got one right here. There we go. Okay, so as you can see they have American here, I think Arabic, Australian, then they have Caucasian. Now you already know that looked like a nigger to me. European is what they're saying, but that is not correct, because we have the proof that this over here is what the original European looks like. That's where you get your Irish, your pygmies, which were what they call the leprechauns. So European, Mongol, and I can't tell what this one is. Let me see over here. Hopefully I can see it on this one. Yeah, I can't tell what this race is here. So these are supposed to be the races of man. So to the left, the black man was labeled the original Caucasian. Let me read that again. So to the left, the black man was labeled the original Caucasian. Once again, it is a Greek, despite his chauvinism, who informs us that the Egyptians, Ethiopians, and Colchians belong to the same race, thereby confirming what Herodotus had said about the Colchians. The Colchians formed a cluster of Negroes among the white populations near the Black Sea, in brackets Caucasians. And your Black Sea would be considered your modern day Ukraine. Gaston Maspero, 1846 to 1916. By the almost unanimous testimony of ancient historians, they belonged to an African race, read Negro, in brackets, which first settled in Ethiopia on the Middle Nile. Following the course of the river, they gradually reached the sea. Moreover, the Bible states that Mizraim, Egypt, son of Ham, brother of Cush, the Ethiopian, and of Canaan, Israel, came from Mesopotamia to settle with his children on the banks of the Nile. End note. So this was published by, translated as The Dawn of Civilization, London in 1894, reprinted New York, Frederick Ungar, 1968. And of course there's a link so you can see even further pictures. So again, this proves why the White House is silent and did not meet their deadline. They cannot meet their deadline because on the SF 181 form, which I'll show here, which is produced by who? The Office of Personnel Management, OMB, which reports to the White House. So we know President Trump is going to see this video, and as well as his chief of staff, and as well as everyone else at the White House, not counting the liens that are on them. So when we go down, we see the definition of white: a person having origins in any of the original peoples of Europe, the Middle East, or North Africa. So the problem the White House has, this is called quantum checkmate. This is what I've coined, this is what I've stated numerous times. The White House, if they want to take off the Middle East or North Africa off the definition, that doesn't save them from the fact that Europe, the original European, is what they would call black. So that creates a problem. If they leave it as the status quo, that still is a problem because people are going to know that the original Caucasian is not what they call white. And the Middle East and North Africa are the same. So this white is in actuality this picture that you see back here. So it doesn't make a difference whether they take off Middle East or North Africa, or they try to say this is what a European is what they consider white. This is what the European is, not what's in school, not what's in the universities, not as what is in anthropology, National Geographic, Black Entertainment, BET. It's not on any of that. This is the real truth. So anyone who's not going to show and talk about the real truth, they are dealing with lies. They're not dealing with reality, and they're not going to solve the problems that they're claiming they want to solve. So this is your European. So we are indigenous and the real European and white. Continuing on. Oh yes, so that's why Dane Calloway, you got to do a better job of doing your research and do a better job of doing studying and get some facts. I'm the one who told everybody about the SF 181 form. So
the trumpets of the Pharaoh took Ankamun, Lord of the Crowns, King of the South and North, son of Re, Plenipotentiary, Chief Nanya Shabuel. That was the silver trumpet, and now the copper trumpet. a silence of over 3,000 years, these two voices out of Egypt's glorious past have gone echoing across the world. Khashuk Gadur.
These SF-181 race and ethnicity definitions brought to you by the Office of Management and Budget, the Office of Personnel Management, my nigga, and the U.S. Department of Education. Don't like what I'm saying? Rip up your diplomas, your master's degrees, your PhDs.
Jello Beats, holla at me.
I am white though. 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 Melanin means white. I am white though. I am white though. Melanin means white. I am white though. White is right. Melanin means white. I am white. White is right. Melanin means white. I am white though. I am white though. I am white though. Get white, get right. I am white though. I am white though. Get white, get right. I am white though. Melanin means white. I am white though. Get white, get right. I am white though. Melanin means white. I am white though. White is right. Melanin means white. I am white. White is right. Melanin means white. I am white though. I am white though. I am white though. Get white, get right. I am white though. I am white though. Get white, get right. I am white though. Melanin means white. I am white though. Get white, get right. I am white though. Melanin means white. I am white though. White is right. Melanin means white. I am white. White is right. Melanin means white. I am white though. I am white though. I am white though. Get white, get right. I am white though. I am white though. Get white, get right. I am white though. Melanin means white. I am white though. Get white, get right. I am white though. Melanin means white. I am white though. White is right. Melanin means white. I am white. I am white. Melanin means white. I am white though. It's up to us with melanin to change the face of white. White, a person having origins as any of the original peoples of Europe, the Middle East, or North Africa.
Timta, Rawat ila Antitin, Ahlan Jol Wahed. Ahlan Jol Wahed. Timta, Abdurko Shayuat Biwasamas Patimta. Greetings, everyone. Rawat, welcome to White Autochthon News Network number 28. This is the 28th episode. 28 weeks of the genocide, the kidnapping and abduction and harboring done by Edmonton public officials here on Treaty 6, as they call it, Territory Northern Turtle Island. Before we get started, going to invoke the Natiru of ancient Tamaray, which they call Egypt misnomerly. Timta Abdurkul Shayuat Biwasamus Shil Pa Timta Ya Anli Wahidat Minu Atharabatna Nukdur Gabul Pa Jamur Dik Entutin Ragagta Ala Ni Liya Nazuf Fug Pa Nas Asmuni Wasuch Suniba Bi Pa Nutit Kawun Jahulat Ya Rabbi Nuk Atno Entutin Liya Sanu Smuni Sawun Yaduk Uwah Ni Liya Shalut Pa Keta Chil Pa Lakulat Shil Hayuhi Rabbi Wa Iza Nuk Dur Khato Gasho Faruj Hadusuk Barukat Wa Ghafuris Ala Ni Antutin Athapa Fakut Wahed Dik Yakul Rafurni Amma Hagun Tab'at Shil Netir Aferti Atum Re Wafi Isumuk Nuk Sofa Taumid Dawum Amun. And the translation is, O heavenly ones, the Natiru, who are our sustainers, Risk, Razag, I do accept the duty that you have lain on me to clean up the filth made by the non-submitting fools. O my sustainer, the Natiru, Riskians, I beseech you to keep your hand over me, to control the strings of the courses of my life. My sustainer, the Natiru, the Riskians, and if I do wrong, please shower your divine blessings and forgiveness on me. You are the only one, the only ones that can raise me as a true follower of Natir Aferti Atum Re. And in your name, I will always carry on. Amun. Welcome, everyone. Lot of information. So we're going to get the distraction dealt with as soon as possible and bring everyone up to speed. Let me see here. I'm not going to go in any particular order. I'm just going to start off with, what's most important and work our way, not linearly, but more so a diffusion pattern, if you will. So I have sent in and filed my charter notice. And for people who don't know what a charter notice is, it's similar to a constitutional question and a constitutional challenge, or a basically tendering a complaint that your constitutional rights have been violated. So this is the Crown, Violetta, and Mr. Lim. Attached is my filed charter notice. Nanya Ale Secure Party, beneficiary, principal, all indigenous rights reserved. So I'm going to go scroll down here. This was served on them. This is legit. As you can see here, January 29th, 2026, filed in Edmonton. And the Crown, His Majesty the King versus Nanya Shabuel. Now, when they find out that I have claims and liens against the Elizabeth, Alexandra, Mary, Windsor, Mountbatten, Battenberg, Saxe, Coburg, Gotha, and I am a creditor, and they brought a creditor into that vessel, knowing that I have claims against their sovereign which have not been paid, it is going to be a major embarrassment. They may get a phone call from Charles directly saying, end this now, because Charles now becomes a tort feeser as a debtor who has an outstanding claim since 2012 that has not been paid. You know what it is, Ianifa. So they done messed up now, because now this is international. This is no longer private. So here it is. One thing I did want to do is I just wanted to go through some of the what I wanted to have presented, and these are the grounds for this application. So remedy sought is an order pursuant to Section 24(1) of the Canada Charter of Rights and Freedoms granting a vacation and stay of these proceedings. 2, an order compelling the Crown to produce the complainant, which is Nicole Tamara Nicholas, for in-person testimony and disclosure of all relevant financial instruments related to this prosecution. Grounds for making this application. Applicants' rights have been under Sections 7 and 11D of the Charter have been violated. 2, Canada Charter of Rights and Freedoms, Section 7, right to life, liberty, and security of the person. 3, Canada Charter of Rights and Freedoms, Section 11D, right to a fair trial before an impartial tribunal, and right to life, liberty, and security of the person. 4, Canada Charter of Rights and Freedoms, Section 11D, that's supposed to be D and G, not to be found guilty on account of any act or omission unless at the time of the act or omission it constituted an offense under Canadian or international law or was criminal according to the general principles of law recognized by the community of nations. 5, the Crown has proceeded with a criminal charge while simultaneously obstructing the accused's right to a fair trial by shielding the complainant from an in-person cross-examination. For those that were on last 7 days ago, the Crown filed for Nicole to give her testimony remotely, so they're not letting her come into the court. So she's not facing me. I don't get to face my accuser. So that's what they're doing. That's what they attempted to do. The complainant initiated the proceedings through false report to the Calgary Police Service, which is 3 hours south of here, and Edmonton Police Service, a fact made evident by contradictions in Crown disclosure. They gave me all this information. The complainant, Nicole Tamara Nicholas, deliberately failed to mention to the CPS and EPS that she was using the accused's phone, contrary to the EPO order granted on August 18, 2025. Justice Smart was the one who granted it. 4 minutes after being granted the EPO, the complainant in fact breached for 1,172 times. Knowledge of these breaches and copy of phone records was emailed to the Crown by the accused, emailing his criminal affidavit dated December 17, 2025 via email. 6, the Crown has admitted in court on the record on January 19, 2026 that these breaches are, quote, not that serious, end quote. Therefore, they confirm and prove this is a malicious prosecution. Notice of this being a malicious prosecution was emailed to the Crown. Who this is? Greetings. Rawat.
I sent you a message in the Telegram and the WhatsApp.
I emailed it to you. I sent you an email of it, of the link. Check your email. I did that about a half hour ago.
You know, come up none at all. Going a spam or you go somewhere you not forgot. You drop it in a Telegram or in a WhatsApp.
I can do that right. I can do that right now. Because you're supposed to be, you are supposed to be on the Telegram from the list for where is it here? For Why to Talk, the news network. You should be
Or did you subscribe? You're supposed to be in that one already. Let me see here.
I know me, I look for the one.
No, you're not. Yeah, you're not on here. And you're not on Plenipotentiary of Earth. Let me see here. You should be on this one because there's 42 members. Yeah, this is interesting. So if you go, you got to see what it is. You got to subscribe to the White Autochthon News Network. That's why. I think that's the reason why. I'll give you the link now. Let me see here. So I'll give it to you in Telegram. Yeah, okay, so you got it.
I appreciate it.
All right, no problem. Kashikador.
White power.
White power.
So go over this.
Okay, there we are. Going back. So where were we at here? Okay, great. For those of you that's on Facebook, put your questions, comments, thumbs ups. I will go over to Facebook after we go into a few things here. And for those that's on Zoom, go ahead. You can put your questions, comments in the chat and I'll get to those once we've gone through this. So number 6, the Crown has admitted in court on the record on January 19, 2026 that these breaches are, quote, not that serious, end quote. Therefore, they confirm and prove this is a malicious prosecution. Notice of this being a malicious prosecution was emailed to the Crown, acknowledged and orally tendered to the clerk and court, which was accepted on the record on December 19, 2025. 7, the Crown's actions constitute an abuse of process, and the proceeding as currently constituted brings the administration of justice into disrepute. 8, Canada Charter of Rights and Freedoms, Section 11D, right to a fair trial before an impartial tribunal, right to life, liberty, and security of the person. 9, Regina versus O'Connor. This is the Supreme Court of Canada decision 4 SCR 411, disclosure obligations. Also, Regina versus Stinchcombe, 1991, 3 SCR 326, full answer and defense principle. Regina versus C. Boyer, 1991, 2 Supreme Court ruling 577, right to cross-examine in sexual assault trials. And Regina versus Babos, 2014, Supreme Court of Canada 16, stay of proceedings for abuse of process. These are all precedents. 10, the complainant has been granted remote testimony despite the expiration of the Emergency Protection Order, EPO, removing any legal basis for such accommodation. This has denied the accused the ability to confront my accuser face to face, contrary to my fundamental rights under Section 7 and 11D of the Charter. So it's on. So they got served on Thursday via email first, as you see here, at 2:08 p.m. Then 7 minutes later, I was in provincial court and handed it in to a justice. Pardon me, not a justice, to the Crown, who was standing in for Mr. Lim. So they know, they have knowledge. And the next one I want to show, which one is this? Yeah, this is it here. So when you do a charter notice, you have to give knowledge to the Attorney General of Canada, which would be like the U.S. Attorney General, and then you have to give a copy to the state. In this case, it will be the province of Alberta Solicitor and Justice Minister, and then, of course, the Crown in the city of Edmonton. That's how you have to do that. So as you can see here, this is the Attorney General of Canada. The Alberta Minister of Justice, Crown Prosecutor's Office, filed charter notice of Nanya Shabu Ale. And so, as you can see here, this is where you got to serve when you're doing a charter notice and automatically generate a response. Thank you for your email. This is an automatic reply. Your email has been received and will be reviewed normally within 2 to 3 business days. So as you can see on the email here, this is the email for serving His Majesty the King at gov.ab.ca. So that's that one. Everyone is, oh, okay, yeah, and we scroll down. Now, this is the Ministry of Justice for the province of Alberta. Thank you for your email to the Ministry of Justice. This response is to confirm your email has been received and will be reviewed. The Minister's office does receive a large amount of volume of requests, so please know response will be forthcoming as quickly as possible. Got it? And then the Constitutional Services, when you serve a charter notice, thank you for your email. This is an automatic reply. Your email has been received and will be reviewed normally within 2 to 3 business days. Service upon this email address will only be effective for notices of constitutional questions to the Minister of Justice, which I just spoke to you all, and once a lawyer responds in writing to your email and admits service of the notice. And let's see here. And then, of course, Ta received it and who received it. So as you can see here, now this is no longer domestic. Does everyone understand that? This is now international because they're violating their own code to cover up for the fact that Nicole tricked them. And we know Nicole is listening. We know the police, EPS is listening, CPS is listening, the Crown attorneys are listening. I know that. We all know they're watching. Every 7 days they're watching. We know the justices, the judges, they're all watching. We know the U.S. State Department, the U.S. Consulate are watching. The United Nations are watching. We know this. What they have done here, aiding and abetting Nicole, is genocide. They did what is called a 60s scoop. And they did that as of August 9th, 2025. So now I'm going to go to the next one. Okay, this is the U.S. Consulate. So in case anyone has any doubts, this is my contact at the U.S. Consulate in Calgary. And they already have a file. So everything I send them, they have copies. So I just tell her, please add this to the file. And this is the main U.S. Consulate in Ottawa for the United States. And this is the U.S. Department of State email. And so I sent them, this is the tortfeasor. Greetings, Elizabeth. Please add this to the file. Attention, Kevin Livingstone. Confirmation of your guilt as tortfeasor. Urgent. Required status of insurance on Miss Nicholas. 2007 Chevrolet Uplander. For those of you that watched the Facebook Live yesterday, you saw Nicole did not have the car. So I don't know how she got there. So this also means when I emailed her lawyer 7 days ago or 8 days ago, I told him I need to know if that car is insured and that Nicole is not driving the car with no insurance. It's interesting that 7 days later, we come and there's no car. And then she waits a minute before and texts me and says, we're inside. So she already knew she didn't have the car. So either somebody drove her, she took an Uber, she took a cab. And so those are things that when you do co-parenting, you have to give me advance notice of that. I said I could have came and picked them up. I was running around all day. But instead, she doesn't do that. That violates a program called PASS, which is called Parenting After Separation, where there has to be openness, transparency. You have to do what's in the best interest of the children. Nicole's not doing that. Nicole wants power. And now everybody can see through her and see beyond her mask, and her mask is no good. Now she went from the blonde locks going back to natural. Why? Because she knows it's over. So greetings, Kevin. I see today that Nicole does not have the car. It is interesting that 7 days ago when I asked her, is the car insured? She stayed silent. You have not responded. So I accept your silence that you knew and know that Nicole did not have insurance for the 2007 Chevrolet Uplander. Further, you refuse to disclose where my children are sleeping and where they stay from Sunday night through Thursday night. This proves you are deliberately aiding concealment of my children from me, and while doing so, you are violating my charter rights, parental rights, indigenous rights, and confirms Nicole, in fact, has kidnapped, abducted, and harboring my children in violation of the Family Law Act and the Canada Criminal Code, sections 21, 282, 283. This is confirmed genocide, trafficking in human cargo, international child abduction. I accept your silence is confirmation and tacit consent that the actions of you and Nicole confirms that both of you are tort feasors. See the Tort Feasors Act, CT5. It is now a confirmed fact that Nicole kidnapped, abducted, and harboring my Indigenous children on August 7, 2025. When you took on the case on October 28, 2025, and looked through the file, it is clear you know the matrix of violations of the law Nicole has done. There is a difference between defending and aiding and abetting. You are aiding and abetting her criminality. And that's the Canada Criminal Code for that, section 21. This was a 60s scoop done in 2025. See the Truth and Reconciliation Commission. This pertains to the Indigenous, the First Nations children that were taken from reservations and put in church. They were put in church-run boarding schools or boarding schools that were ran by the province or the federal government. And when they were there, the purpose was to, they said to, I don't know if they used the word beat, but it was to get the Indian or get the Indian out the child. That was the purpose. So they couldn't speak their language, couldn't know their culture, and then there was a lot of raping and molestation going on at those boarding schools. The Facebook Live videos are all evidence of Nicole's non-compliance and you aiding and abetting that. Further, this proves you violated the Law Society of Alberta Code of Conduct and its ethics. I will use all Facebook Live videos and any other relevant ones published and publicly disseminated and decentralized of me dropping and picking up the children for 11 weeks. I will use all emails and communications with you as evidence for all legal, commercial, and international matters going forward. Much appreciated for your silence and admission of guilt. Nanya L, Secure Party, PPSA 56.2 and Section 57.1. All Indigenous rights reserved. Hague Convention on International Child Abduction, Canada Charter of Rights and Freedoms, Sections 2, 7, 12, 15, 24, 25, 26. 7 days prior, I stated, greetings, Kevin. This was at 5:16 p.m. As the secured party and lien holder with an active PPSA lien on the 2007 Chevrolet Uplander currently in Nicole's possession, I require confirmation in writing as to the current insurance status of the motor vehicle. Nicole has admitted a documented income of $968 per month. How is Nicole maintaining monthly auto insurance, fuel, rent, and childcare on that budget? $968 is about $731 US. My lien is attached to that asset and its lawful operation is contingent on it being properly insured. If it is not insured, then her use of it is unlawful, illegal, and endangers both public safety and my security interests, which are the children, both of whom are listed as secured parties with security interest in Nicholas as their debtor. Yes, Majesty and Empress are secured parties, and Nicole Tamara Nicholas is the debtor. So I know, what's his name? Kevin Livingstone won't have a hard time looking that up. So he probably looked it up and saw what I said was real. You are already in possession of documentation for September 4th, 2025, confirming she drove my car with no insurance or registration. You were provided copies of the registration, expired August 31st, 2025, and insurance canceled as of August 29th. That's 2025. I asked Nicole today on Facebook Live if she has insurance on that car, and she refused to answer. If no proof of insurance is provided within 72 hours, I will file a notice of breach and proceed with necessary remedies, including disclosure requests. notice to DMV, Edmonton Police, and any further legal action I deem appropriate. This recording is that notice, which we already know. We'll get into the email I got from the police review commission. Take notice and govern yourself accordingly. Nanya L, secure party, all indigenous rights reserved. The next one. Is this it here? Let me see if this is the right one. Oh, okay. We're going to go back here to the response I got from Kevin Livingstone. So I want to be clear so everybody understands something. Let me do this first, and then I will we'll make this statement. So for the Canada Charter of Rights and Freedoms, and I'll put this in the chat for those that want it. When we go to Section 2, Fundamental Freedoms, everyone has the following fundamental freedoms. A, freedom of conscience and religion. Can everyone see that? Make sure everyone can see that. Great. B, freedom of thought, belief, opinion, and expression, including freedom of the press and other media of communication. White Autochthon News Network is media. Indigenous Autochthonous media. So, freedom of expression. C, freedom of peaceful assembly and freedom of association. Under Section 2 of the Charter, Canadians are free to follow the religion of their choice. In addition, they are guaranteed freedom of thought, belief, and expression. Since the media are an important means for communicating thoughts and ideas, the Charter protects the right of the press and other media. White Autochthon News Network is media to speak out. Our right to gather and act in peaceful groups is also protected, as is our right to belong to an association like a trade union. These freedoms are set out in the Charter to ensure that Canadians are free to create and express their ideas, gather to discuss them, and communicate them widely to other people. These activities are basic forms of individual liberty. I prefer the word freedom because liberty is a maritime term and you have to get permission from the captain of the vessel in order to be at liberty. So, like I said months ago, when they put their hands on my children, I told the Edmonton public officials, nobody stays in the shadows. I said, everyone is coming into the sunlight. And when I mean everyone, I mean everyone. Judges, EPS, CPS, clerks, everybody is coming into the sunlight. This is why we did the ritual on the city of Edmonton, and now you see all the disasters going on with the city. We'll get to that in a moment later on. So what I'm doing is within charter rights to expose the international child trafficking ring that they are operating out of the Edmonton law courts. Because when a woman doesn't have leave from the court, doesn't give 60 days notice as required, doesn't have an order, doesn't have consent from the other parent, doesn't have an order to take the children to another city, that's kidnapping, point blank. Then when she confesses to police in Calgary, she's not coming back to Edmonton, but now she comes back to Edmonton. What does that mean? That means that she had to come back because whoever is guiding her, whoever the handler is, said, you got to go back because this is a kidnapping if you stay in Calgary. And while we're on that subject, we'll go to this next bridge here. For those of you that came in, go right ahead. If you're on Facebook, put your questions in the comment section there. I'll get to them momentarily. For those of you that are on Zoom, you go ahead, put your questions in the chat. I'm not opening up the phone line just yet. Once I open the phone line up, then you all can contact me. There we go. So what happened earlier this week? It was a wild and busy day this past 7 days. Let's see here. Inbox, okay. Okay, so we got to break it down like this. Okay, great. Hold on 1 second, everyone. There we go. So we'll be coming up there. Can we do sent? And what people are going to realize is when they have issues like this with public officials, you ain't got no choice. You got to put that out to the public. But they're going to play games. Oh, so they're doing it like that. Okay, well, I'll go this way then. And I'll show the email that I received. Okay, that was the one email I sent to the Vatican that we did on episode 27. There we go. All right, so this is the Police Review Commission for Monday, January 12th. Okay, so this was the first one. And they I'd sent in my complaint, and then actually we could go back there. Okay, this is it. Okay, so January 12th, January 13th. Okay, Monday, January 26th. Okay. All right, so this is the Police Review Commission because I have a complaint filed against the Calgary Police. So what you're going to see here is part of my complaint, and then they asked a question on this was from the 13th. I had till the 26th, which I did do, and then for whatever reason they came back the day, which was the 27th, and asked me to speak again. And so this is what they said, January 26th at 2:29 p.m. Hello, thank you for your response. And this was the response regarding my complaint. To clarify, the nature of your complaint is regarding Officer Allstad, B number 4756, and their partner who did not confirm whether the cell phone, the number, and the account belonged to Nicole. Additionally, officers texted Nicole in violation of the EPO on August 18th, August 29th. That's a typo, that's incorrect. And September 25th, 2025. And see, they put a question mark here. So they're like, this is what you're saying? Do you have the text messages to substantiate this claim? So, of course, I responded and stated this. This was on 6/23 when I responded about 4.5 hours later, 4 hours later. To whom it may concern, yes, that is correct. The phone, account, and number 587-501-7262 is mine. Nicole was to return my phone. Instead, she kept and used it contrary to the no contact direct or indirect order. Nicole using my phone violated the EPO of August 19th, 29th, and September 25th of 2025. The order explicitly and specifically stated no contact, direct or indirect. See attached text records and phone records for the month of September 2025 to October 2025 as you requested, courtesy of Freedom Mobile Network. Nanya Ale, all rights reserved. So now, what do we see? Hi, Nanya Shabu. Ale, view your usage. Freedom Mobile usage history. So whose phone is that? Whose number is that? Whose account is this? Hi, Nanya Shabuel. They didn't say nothing about no Nicole Nicholas. It said Nanya Shabuel. And the bill period from September 20 to October 19, 2025. So we're going to scroll down to where are we at here? The 25th. Now this number 780-851-3573. This is the number to call in when you are going to come in by video phone or by video or by audio with the Edmonton Law Courts. So this was the Edmonton Law Courts phone number. And so that's 75 minutes. We were in the vessel, you know, give or take, you know, there were other cases going on. So she called in. September 25th, she was in Calgary. She don't have leave to be in Calgary. This is what I brought up to Justice McGuire, and she got all testy and prickly, like the Premier of Alberta, Danielle Smith, says, when you criticize the judges in Alberta, they get very prickly. And so what happened is, when I said, is Nicole in Edmonton or in Calgary? And when McGuire said, you don't need to know where she's at, she was using my phone to call in. That's right there, aiding and abetting. There was supposed to be no contact. And then on the day that Nicole spoke with the Calgary police, we go back, I think it was around 1 o'clock. You see all these text messages here. 119, all of this. This probably is it right here. And then you got some 403s afterward. And then they called her back later that shadow hour. So all you have to do is look at and see which number was repetitive, whether it was a 2656, 9795, 1522. And so the Police Review Commission has this. And I think, is that it? Yeah, that's it for this one. So they already knew. And then again on the 27th, gave me another email. Good morning. Thank you for your message and confirming the nature of your complaint. You also mentioned that the officers sent text messages to Nicole in violation of the EPO. Are you able to provide copies of those text messages? Right here. This is their phone numbers. On the 25th of September, because we went to court. So this is the same day we had court. After we had court, that was it. So all this is probably that one of those police officers, probably the one who had the body camera on. Is everyone getting this? All right. And so now, afterward, I respond again, January 27, 2026 at 12:35 p.m. because they sent this email at 8:02 a.m. This is how precise you have to be, people. Date, time, right? Email, all of that. This is how precise you need to be. So when I responded at 12:36 p.m. 4 days ago, the Police Review Commission said, hello, thank you for providing all the requested information. Should we need any additional details, someone on the team may reach out. Thank you. And that was at 1:05 p.m. So it didn't take them but 30 minutes. So they looked through that and they realized, yes, Nicole was using the phone and was breaching the whole time in front of you all. And you public officials, Edmonton and Calgary, either you didn't see it, highly incompetent, or you aided and abetted and were willfully complicit. That's going to come out at some point. Right now, the evidence shows complicity. And let's see here. Where's the one here I want to show? Yeah. Now, this is Kevin's response after I emailed him the confirmation of your guilt as a tortfeasor. His response 10 hours ago at 8:22 a.m. I am away on Friday, January 30th, returning on Monday, February 2nd. Also, I have been ill all week, January 26th to 29th. So I am quite behind on my emails. I will respond as soon as I'm able to next week. He must have caught a big bug. Because I am quite behind. So he knows he's a tortfeasor. All this is evidence. All this is facts. And somewhere in the internet, Nicole is off to the side, or she'll be catching the replay because she hasn't blocked me on Facebook. We're just not friends. But however, that will allow her to come on my news feed. That'll allow her to see what I post. So she could very well be on this Facebook Live as we're doing this. So anyone that looks at this is going to say, how do you go from when I ask you, is the car insured, 7 days later, you don't have the car? What does that mean, people? If you have a thought, put it in the chat. Those of you that are on Facebook, go ahead and put it in the chat as well. Let's see here. Let me go into the Facebook chat.
Most important.
Yeah, I'm just checking to see if there's any comments here. Oh, White, we got a whole bunch of people up in here. Okay, Timta, Rawat, Rawat, Tiffany, Rawat Dakota, Rawat Anksena Mun, Rawat Aferti, Rawat Hathlapoya, Rawat Tiffany again, Rawat Yuhuel Overstand, Rawat Yuhuel to a kidnapping period. Kuyani, constant buffering. Oh, they don't want this information getting down there in South Carolina. See, that's what the problem is. Hold on a second.
Picture here. Now you see why the White House has a problem, because this is called the Nilotic Negro.
Okay, great. So just want to make sure I don't cause any feedback. Okay, that's good, and that should bring us back to here. There we go. So that's them. We've seen the U.S. State Department. They have knowledge. And who else is there that everyone needs to be aware of? And let's go to sent. And subpoenas. And so I subpoenaed Nicole. Oh, yes. Oh, yes. There's a subpoena. What's the 24th? Okay. Because I don't know where she is. So as you all can see, can everyone see this? There you go. Subpoena filed January 26th. Nicole Tamara Nicholas. Got to come to court. Stamped, filed. Notice to witnesses, you must report with this subpoena to the court office each day you are required to attend the above hearing and have your attendance recorded thereon. Please arrive a few minutes early to clear law court security. And you must show up. So this is this one, and then this is the follow-up where I included the back page. Now this is what it says here on the back for the witness. The following information has been designed to explain your role as a witness and some of the do's and don'ts of testifying. As a witness, you have a very important responsibility, important not only to the party for whom you appear and yourself, but most important to the administration of justice. In order for the court to arrive at a just decision, all of the evidence put before it must be accurate and truthful. Everyone involved knows your time is valuable and that you have other things to do, and every attempt will be made to avoid wasting your time. There may be unavoidable delays, but you have not been forgotten. Even though you may have already been given an oral or written statement, it is very important that you give your evidence in court. You may believe that you don't know anything about the case. However, you may know something very important which may seem unimportant to you. If you have received a subpoena to attend at court, do not ignore it, as it is a court order and must be obeyed. Failure to respond to your subpoena may result in a warrant being issued for your arrest. Please ensure that you bring your copy of the subpoena and the original documents as indicated in the subpoena. The following suggestions may be helpful to you in court. In testifying, you must, let me zoom in here because they underline it right here, must, see that thin underline? Tell the truth. Give your evidence clearly and speak up so that everyone in the courtroom can hear you. Be polite and be serious. If you do not hear a question, ask that it be repeated. If you do not understand a question, ask that it be rephrased. In answering a question, do not guess. If you do not know the answer, say so. If you cannot properly answer a question with a yes or no, explain your answer. Answer only the question you are asked. If you have made a mistake in answering a question, advise the court immediately. Do not argue with the lawyers or the judge. Do not look for help to the lawyer who called you or any other person in the courtroom in answering a question. Direct your answers to the judge. For more information about being a witness, contact the Court Administration Office for a free copy of the witness and the justice system. So, what is happening, Tiffany, over in the UK is they're saying I breached the EPO. Now the EPO is gone, it's lifted, done, and they're still wanting to proceed. Okay, well, Nicole was using my phone. So now they forgot all about that. I'm going to give everyone let me see if it's on this one from the Vatican. See if there's an attachment in this one. Oh, that's the Canada Child Tax Credit. Oh, I sent that. Okay, the Vatican got that. We want, let's see here, we want to get that here, subpoena. No. Oh, I know what we'll do. We'll go JG, everything prosecutors, perfecto. So now when we go here, let me see if this is the one on the 19th. Okay, I did the 19th, 22nd. Let me try this one, see if this is it. Okay, so that's Global News, City TV. Let's see here. Okay, so the phone conversations you all heard with Sergeant Todd, Edmonton Prosecutions has that. So they already know I said they're going to go down with her if they proceed with this case. So they have knowledge of that. Let's see, in case I went a little fast. So my phone conversation with Sergeant Todd on December 11, 2025. And what did they say? Good afternoon. Your email has been added to the files for the Crown to review. Regards. So the Crown already knows Nicole is going to perjure herself, whether it's on video, but she got to come to court now. She got that subpoena. She gonna perjure herself. That's a known fact. Let's see here. Let's click on this one. Oh, that's it. Oh, all 24. Okay. Let me see here. I just want to have. No, I don't want that one. That was a fax to Calgary. I want this one here. Okay, let's see if this one is it. Okay, this is the Canada Child Tax Credit. Yeah, I know everyone's having problems these days when they're trying to locate their documents in Google. Like Google just scrambled and just really screwed up being able to find documents, and then you could put something else in that has nothing to do with what you're talking about. And then next minute, that document you're looking for shows up. Let's see here. Okay, this is the 27th. Okay, so that was the Vatican. Okay, let's go back. That was the 19th. Okay, the 10th. Okay, and this was an affidavit. Let's see if that has the October. This might be it. No, that's her when she lost her wallet and didn't tell nobody nothing. Let's see, this is police commission. Let me see if this is in here. Because that's the one I want everybody to see. When you see this, you're going to comprehend. Let's see, that's the 10th. That doesn't work. Let me try this one and see if this one is working. Okay, that's an affidavit and a video, so we don't want that one. Okay, let's try this one and see what comes up. Okay, 22nd. I think this is the one. Ah, okay, there we go. Okay, so we have that correction. Let me see if this one, page 4. Okay, so that's 3. So this one here, Tiffany and everyone else. So again, this is from Freedom Mobile, which is the third-party cell phone company that operates coast to coast, as they call it. And as you can see, it says 587-501-7262. Hi, Nanya Shabu El. So that's my phone. My phone, my contract, my account. And the bill period from September 20th to October 19th. Times are Eastern Standard Time. So you got to take 2 hours off of these dates, off these times. So this is the date on the 18th of August when Nicole got the EPO order. Now she got it at 1721, which would be 521. So 4 minutes later, she made a phone call to 416-825-6281. I don't know who that is, but she made a phone call there. And then afterward, a phone call to 647-700-1778. So I don't know who that is. Hold on a second. What's going on here? Let me check something. Yeah, something is, let me see. I think I have something, a surprise for everybody. Everyone hold on a second here. Okay, so it's not. Okay, so I thought that was 647-700-1778. It's a special outgoing because that's similar to her number, but the last 4 digits are not the same. So as everyone could see, she's using my phone. And it means no, and the order was no contact, direct or indirect. Does everyone get that? If you comprehend that, please put that in the chat. If you're on Facebook, please say yes to overstood, however you want. So everyone can see, why is she using my phone and then wants a protection order? She can't do that. That's theft of the device. Is everyone seeing this? So as you can see here, so I was trying to see her number, inadvertently dialed it, but it doesn't matter. So now we got a recording because I thought that was the same number that she has, which is her new number. So apparently it isn't, unless it's an agency number that they give out specially. Let me see. Hold on a second. Hold on. Let me go back to that. What? Hold on. Something's wrong here. Oh, it's 587. Okay, cool. I was like, what? Okay. So as you can see, these are all the phone calls she made. 19th, from the 18th to the 19th. And then the next page, we're going to go to the 2nd. So you can see a local outgoing call, 151 minutes. That was when we went to court on September 2nd. Let me say this again. Let me make it big. This phone number is the number you use to call into the Edmonton Law Courts. 780-851-3573. Now, she had the protection order as of the 18th of August, yet she's still using my phone September 2nd to call into the court where there's supposed to be no contact, direct or indirect. Does everybody get that? So that means she called into the court using my phone, trying to say she's running from domestic or family violence. What are you doing keeping my phone for? You ain't supposed to do that. This is the evidence here. So that's why I said it's laughable when they talk about law courts and justices and judges and appeal courts. She's holding contraband. The evidence is right here. This is Nicole's fingerprints. It's a digital footprint. 151 minutes. That's how long it took between all the other cases and then us. And the only reason this happened because I was the one that filed for custody of the children. Nicole has filed nothing, not a claim, not an emergency custody, not family docket. She hasn't filed for anything. Nothing. So when the EPS, CPS, the Police Review Commission, right, they'll be able to investigate, get copies, because this is on file in the family law, and see that she was using my phone the whole time. You can't do that. That's fraud. That's Canada Criminal Code Section 380 for fraud. Then Canada Section 366 for uttering a false document, which was the EPO when it was originally granted to her. This is all there. They didn't know she was holding the bug. My cell phone is a tracking device. So the police will be able to go track the pings off the towers and realize that the whole time she's screaming, oh, he's breaching me, she's holding my phone, which she wasn't supposed to have. Is everyone getting this? So this evidence is pointed at Nicole, EPS, and whoever else was assisting her in the kidnapping and abduction of my children. And I'm so grateful to the U.S. Department of State and to the U.S. Consulate in Calgary, because everything that has been transpiring, they got copies of it. Everything. So they know what's going on. So when Canada has to go sit down with Donald Trump, the President of the United States, and negotiate CUSMA, CUSMA is CUSMA, which is Canada, US, and Mexico Free Trade Agreement. Canada's already getting hit with tariffs. I'm almost certain the White House has got all 27 episodes of the White Autochthon News Network. Them, DHS, National NSA, the other one that NORAD. I'm sure they all got copies of this. They're watching this hard. And they're like, what the hell is Edmonton doing? And aiding and abetting a mother kidnapping her children and then breaking the law, and you letting her drive on the street with no registration and insurance. So as you can see, this is the court. So based upon the EPO, Nicole can't call into the court using my cell phone to call into the court. That's a breach. So all of these, as you can see here, this is 359 calls right here. That's why I like this. this because it keeps track of every call she made. So when I added everything up, it's 1,172. And then, of course, this is the one when we were in court at the bottom. So I can't see how the justices are going to sit there, especially the Crown, and think they're going to play holier than thou when their complainant is holding my cell phone and trying to breach me off of. They said the breaches ain't that serious. So why are we wasting the time of the judges, the court, the public? Why are we wasting money? Because it's a malicious prosecution. That's why. So they have this, as you can see, I'm going to show you all the email. So the Edmonton prosecutions at Gov are as of December 17th. They have all of this. They have this, they have the correction, and then they have Nicole laughing about when she get the Canada Child Tax Credit, what's she going to do with it? So all these public officials, no, do not let them fool you like they don't know. They know. They probably on here right now watching because it's probably the most exciting thing for them rather than to sit there with a stack of court cases and got to do that 200 cases per day. I sat in there, had to wait over an hour, and then at a certain point I just went to sleep sitting up. And I could tell the justice was seeing me like, yeah, like I said, man, he said, we just try to move things along here. And so the last one I want to speak about before I move on, and we should be finished. The 1 hour is good enough on this distraction, is the, where did I send? Oh, yes, this was for Edmonton prosecutions. This was the, let me see here, January 21st, 26th, 27th. I'll see if it's here. Okay, that's the charter notice on the 30th. Coordinator. Yeah, I wanted to show what I've requested. I requested the financial instruments. Let's see, where did that go? Oh yeah, they hide in this one. See, that's December. See, I send a lot of emails and you just see how it just goes from December. It skips from the 18th, 22nd, then it skips from the 22nd to the 7th of January. So let me try January 2nd. Let's see what comes up. Okay, no, not this one. That was about that young guy driving with no registration and okay, so I spoke this one to everyone over. Everyone already has this one. 7. Let's see, 23rd. Let's see here. Let's see here. Yes, they are really hiding it. It's Mooney. Now hat. Tua. Tua.
Pizza.
Oh, your own? Okay, well, you hold on a second and then I'm gonna make you some, all right?
All right, make pizza instead.
Oh, you can't make pizza yet, but I give you an E for effort, definitely. You could go ahead and take out the non-bread out the fridge, put it on the counter. Lahum, towel hat. So I asked, oh boy. So I asked for Jay. I want to show this one to everyone before we move on because it's important. Since they're wasting all this time, I had asked, there we go. Let me see, urgent required status of insurance. Let me see if this is it. Oh, okay, I sent them about my request for insurance for Nicole. Okay, that's the VIN number. No, okay, so not that one. If somebody has that one where I asked for the
SF-181, raise it up to see that.
Rawat. Yes, App's gonna make 5 pizzas for you. Just hold on a second. What do? Let's see here. Yep. Let me see here. Yeah, attention. Yeah, I asked for full disclosure on, let's see if this is the day. See how they're just playing around here? I just clicked on it and it just disappeared here. Okay, 23rd, let's go. Ah, this is what it, okay, so this is the one. So everyone should be able to see it. I'll get into the comments and then we'll get straight into stories. We got a lot of stories. Greetings to Crown Prosecutor January 19, 2026, whom it may concern. On January 19, 2026, in courtroom 268 in Edmonton, the statement given by the Crown's on the record acknowledgement that these breaches are, quote, not that serious, provide clarifications as to why public resources, funding, and judicial time are being used to pursue this matter. I reserve the right to file an accountability claim against the fiduciary bodies funding and underwriting this proceeding. I require the following fiduciary and financial disclosures. 1. Disclosure of the name of the insurance company or bondholder underwriting this matter. 2. Disclosure of the bond numbers, surety instruments, and the associated security registration associated with this file. I'll explain why. 3. Disclosure of the identity of the fiduciary party or parties or trust entity or entities responsible for financial liability attached to the administration, trade, and stock market sale of this case and file. I know, and I know somebody from the prosecution's office is probably watching. Please don't think I'm stupid. Canada is registered on the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission. Alberta is called Her Majesty the Queen, as they probably put it now, as His Majesty the King. As Her Majesty Queen, His Majesty the King as in right, His Majesty the King in right of the province of Alberta as represented by Alberta Investment Management Corporation. They have offices in London, Germany, forget the city, London, Germany, Edmonton, Calgary. Yeah, Luxembourg, Germany, London, England, Edmonton, Calgary, and Ottawa. So they are an investment management company. 4, disclosure of any listing, monetization, trading, or securitization of this file by or through the Alberta Investment Management Corporation, AIMCO, in Edmonton, Calgary, London, Luxembourg, and of course, Ottawa. 5, the source of the funding for the functioning operation of the court, this proceeding, its enforcement, and this file. I look forward to your response by January 28th. Should you not respond, I will accept your silence as tacit consent and agreement that I may assert all commercial remedies available to me as a secured party with active PPSA lien and withstanding in this matter. This email is now evidence in this matter to be added to the file. This matter should be vacated/stayed in accord with Canada Charter of Rights and Freedoms, C46, sections 21 of the Canada Charter, 119, 120, 140, 366, 380, and the Regina versus Jaw case of May 12, 2011, number T20107746 in the United Kingdom. The fiduciary negligence, procedural abuse, and commercial fraud requires the remedy of posting full closure, discharge, and settlement of this case and account. Much appreciated. Nanya L. Secured Party. I am. Beneficiary. I am. Claimant in fact. I have a lien on Elizabeth II and on her death certificate. That's been published. Plus, it's on the blockchain and has been made into tokens, and people have bought them. All indigenous rights reserved. So again, they can play stupid. They could use, the luxury of obliviousness. They can use cognitive dissonance. It is what it is. I have claimed the British throne. And thanks to John Anthony Hill's case in the United Kingdom, he proved that Elizabeth was never crowned. And since Charles, as the son is coming in, he's inheriting a fraud. This is what they want me to talk about because that's in my charter notice. Let me go back to my charter notice real quick. Let me see. I think this might be in here. Yeah, here's my charter notice. Filed January 29th. And we're going to go to Exhibit A. And what is Exhibit A? This is lawful argument against jurisdiction and sovereignty. Elizabeth Alexandra Mary Battenberg Saxe Coburg Gotha's fraudulent coronation. We're going to go to paragraph 12. Let's see here. There we go. Blah, blah, blah. Or 13. Yeah, let's go to 13. We'll start with 12. Elizabeth Alexander Mary Battenberg Saxe Coburg Gotha was therefore not only massively in breach of contract. Is everyone seeing this? All white. But also massively in breach of the law, and thus was not only not the lawful sovereign, never has been, and thus had no jurisdiction to prosecute anyone, but was also a criminal guilty of capital crimes that carry the death penalty according to the law she swore to maintain to the utmost of her power, as has also been sworn by her son Charles. That perfect royal law of liberty was given by God to the British-Israel peoples to protect the British-Israel peoples from tyranny, exploitation, oppression, poverty, and harm, and which God has warned the British-Israel peoples to return to with dire consequences for failure to do so. Her obscene wealth and that of her relatives, cronies, accomplices, cartels, racketeers, privateers, pirates must be seized and shared out amongst the poor, the homeless, and the British people. Paragraph 13. The person who purported to be queen was in fact, as proven above, never rightfully nor lawfully the sovereign/crown, and neither is her son Charles. Therefore, the fraudulent crown has no authority to put the defendant on trial, and the judge has no authority to try him/her because the judge's authority comes from the crown. 14. In addition, without prejudice to the above, based on God's law that she swore to maintain to the utmost of her power, Exhibit 1, the quote-unquote small q queen was in breach of contract. She has, amongst other things, accumulated an obscene amount of personal wealth and done many other things that are expressly forbidden, some of which are listed above. And so she breached her contract with God and the British Israel people. Therefore, even if, which is not admitted, the small q queen was genuinely crowned, the breach of contract disqualified her from sitting and renders null and void proceedings instituted in the crown's name, in this case, His Majesty Charles or His Majesty the King. I'm going to speak this one because this looks pretty good. In addition, and without prejudice to the above, ex-Prime Minister Tony Blair was found guilty of war crimes on the 22nd of November 2011 by the Kuala Lumpur War Crimes Commission, KLWCC, in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia. However, he has no authority to send British troops into combat. That authority lay solely with Elizabeth Alexander Mary Windsor Mountbatten Battenberg Saxe Coburg Gotha, also known by the criminal aliases Windsor and QE2. Thus, she was also condemned and guilty of being a war criminal. Please see the attached judgment. There's no legal sovereign immunity from war crimes and crimes against humanity, as was proven in the case of Saddam Hussein. A convicted criminal cannot bring any charges against anyone. No lawbreaker can be a law enforcer. Hot stuff. Hot stuff. Number 2, I like this one. Charles Battenberg Windsor is also a self-confessed adulterer, guilty of adultery with Camilla Parker Bowles, a crime that carries the death penalty under the law that he swore to maintain to the utmost of his power at his coronation. And he signed the coronation oath containing that statement. So, and I signed this. It's like, I know about this from since 2011. Used it. So I don't understand what Edmonton prosecutor, Calgary prosecutor, what the end game is. However, if you want me to come up in there, oh, I'm dropping this. Oh, yeah, because now they have to go prove everything. They got to disprove it with facts. I got the evidence. So they know what they got to do. Got to charge Nicole Tamara Nicholas with kidnapping, abduction, child harboring. But because it's tight, it's because they're running a child trafficking ring. So that is a perfect bridge to look. We're going to get into the articles now. Brought everyone up to speed for those that came in afterward. I'm going to get to everyone's questions. Nope, don't worry about that. Let's get some of these articles done here. Let me see here. Okay, so I want to go start off first with the where's it, the with Canada being the organ harvesting. Here we go. Yes. This is the perfect bridge. Yeah. Canada's organ harvesting just got exposed. Let me see if this is it should be.
Writer, one of my favorite independent voices in geopolitics. Not only does he have a measured take, but he usually has a funny take, which is needed. You may have seen him on the Jimmy Dore Show, other independent shows. Now, I invited you on Redacted because I wanted to meet you most of all, but what I hope my listeners will take away from this is some camaraderie.
Hold on, let me see here. I want to get, they do that sometimes. Okay, anti-bricks. Yeah, okay, so it should be before then. There we go. Canada's organ harvesting. Let's see, can everyone see this? Oh, let me switch the screen over.
Let's talk about Canada. So Canada has an organ harvesting. All right. So let's talk about Canada. So Canada has an organ harvesting problem, or if you maybe want to look at the globalist elites, it's probably a positive thing for the Canadian government and for the United States government, which gets to reap the benefits of this organ harvesting of MAID patients. It's demonic. It's deeply satanic. We are looking at the transhumanist agenda unfolding right before our eyes in Canada. David Creighton joins us now from Ottawa, Canada, to talk about that and so much more. David, we're getting some deeper facts now about this organ harvesting that has been unfolding because of the MAID program. Maybe you can walk us through the mechanics of this and how this is actually affecting people.
Well, you know, Clayton, we predicted that this was precisely what was going to happen with the medical assistance in dying program, that it was not only going to become inevitable in expanding its scope of so-called eligible people, but that organ harvesting was going to become part of this practice. So now I don't think we know where legality begins and illegality ends, or illegality begins and legality ends. Because now we have an organ harvesting program that has essentially been started because of the euthanasia program in Canada. So I can tell you how much you can trust the Canadian government to do the right thing, to do the honest thing, to do something with any scruples behind it. And that's exactly zero. We have the most corrupt government ever in Ottawa right now. The Liberal government of Mark Carney is the most corrupt government. And I predict this is exactly where the founders, the progenitors of the MAID program wanted this to go, into organ harvesting. And so now, therefore, we can start selling these organs at tremendous profit to the United States and to other interested countries. And this is beyond disgusting. You called it demonic, Clayton. That's precisely what it is. Canada is a demonic cult of death, headed by the high priest, Mark Carney. His predecessor, of course, was Justin Trudeau, where all of this began. Canada is a country that has no abortion law, for instance. We have abortion on demand, unrestricted abortion on demand, up till the birth and including, I believe, the birth of the child. We also have a euthanasia program that is so accessible now, it just keeps expanding. And of course, a couple of years ago, it was going to be expanded to the mentally ill and the addicted and even the children. But the Liberal government sort of put the brakes on that. There was such pushback from psychiatric associations and psychologists. They decided just to slow things down a bit. I predict that expansion is coming in the near future. And they'll do it very quietly. And they'll do it behind doors, closed doors, because Mark Carney has passed legislation now that this kind of activity can remain cabinet confidential and does not have to be revealed to the media or the public. This can all be done in clandestine activity. And this is exactly where they wanted to go with this program, Clayton. Yeah. It is horrifying, but this is the end result of a society that does not value life.
Well, we got some new information from Jim O'Neill, who is the Deputy Health and Human Services Secretary, and he has condemned this. So I think one of the reasons we're getting maybe some more information about this over the past few days at least is from Jim O'Neill. And he's saying that this is a permissive program for ill patients, and he says that this has crossed ethical boundaries by increasing the deceased organ donation rates. And, we point to these statistics. He points out, he says, we thought we'd seen all the possible horrors, in America, and then Canada has this strange new horror that was really just shocking, he says, end quote. We have from 2018 to 2022, the number of deceased donors who died by physician-assisted suicide increased from 4.9% in 2018 to 14% in 2022. That's 4 years ago. I can only imagine that it's exploded since then, David.
What has? Canada is the assisted suicide capital of the world. And the problem here, Clayton, is that you can't get an operation in Canada under our so-called free healthcare system, under Medicare, which so many Americans are lusting after because they think, oh, it's the answer. Canada's Medicare. It's just so good. Well, the problem with that, Clayton, is that you can wait 6 months for a hip replacement operation. Never mind if you have stage 3 cancer. So what are the authorities saying? I'm sorry, we're not going to be able to stop your cancer growth in time. We just don't have a surgeon available. We can't get you on the operating table. But guess what? We have medical assistance in dying. And we're going to offer that to you. And by the way, maybe you can donate the organ to us afterwards. That's exactly where we're coming to. Clayton, I have talked to people who have been offered MAID simply because they're depressed, simply because they're waiting for an operation, and it's not necessarily even a life-saving operation. They're just waiting. So the people come around and say, well, you have an option here. If things get just too heavy for you, have you considered medical assistance in dying? And people who are suffering from the COVID shot, I have had people on my program talking about this. Kayla Pollitt, who is a quadriplegic as a result of the COVID shot. She was an athlete before COVID. She's been offered MAID twice instead of getting any help with her sickness from the federal government. So never mind trying to help people's lives. Let's just offer them death. That's where this Liberal government has gone under Justin Trudeau, and now is continuing the same course under Mark Carney. And it is horrifying.
Every workout, injury, or surgery creates microscopic good and bad damage inside the body. Muscle inflammation, tissue breakdown can peak within 72 hours after physical stress, which is why recovery matters just as much as 11 states are now also getting on board with this because it's all part of this liberal, globalist, demonic agenda to just push people to kill themselves and then to harvest their organs. Deeply, deeply disturbing. David, you've got some other news that I want to get to, too, in Canada, because we just got some information on the Emergencies Act. And I also want to talk about the ostrich farm that we've been covering for the past few months. They got hit with a big fine, unfortunately, by the government. But let's talk about the Emergencies Act first, because a big court ruling has now come out against the use of the Emergencies Act, which, of course, squashed the Freedom Convoy truckers. This sets enormous precedent. Can you tell us what happened here?
Well, this is perhaps the best news of the month. Well, it's easily the best news of the month. The Federal Court of Appeal rejected an appeal from the Liberal government, saying that a previous decision by Justice Richard Mosley in January 2024, a federal court judge, who said the use of the Emergencies Act, which is essentially, for those who are unfamiliar with this concept, it's martial law. That's what the Emergencies Act is. Justin Trudeau proclaimed it on February 14th, 2022, Valentine's Day, to crush the Freedom Convoy, to crush the trucker protest. Justice Mosley said in January 2024 that was inappropriate, unjustified, wrong, and unconstitutional. The Liberal government under Trudeau at the time appealed that decision. The decision came down last Friday. They rejected that appeal, and they went even further. And this is what I find fascinating, Clayton. The Federal Appeal Court went even further than Justice Mosley. Not only was it unconstitutional, it broke charter rights. It violated foundational charter rights, the Charter of Rights and Freedom in Canada, which is part of our Constitution. And the judges involved in this appeal decision all said it violated charter rights. Now, this could have tremendous ramifications and consequences for a lot of people who suffered as a result of being in the Freedom Convoy protest. Bank accounts were frozen. Remember that. People were not able to access money. People were jailed. And I'll tell you, this could have extremely positive consequences for a lot of people in the Freedom Convoy.
Well, that's great news. Well, we got some bad news, so we have to pour some water on all of it, though. It's what happened to the Universal Ostrich Farm, and our friend Katie Pasitny, of course, who dealt with the horror there of them slaughtering all the ostriches. As you alerted me just a short time ago, they just got hit with a fine on top of having all of their ostriches slaughtered.
And just literally 12 hours before the Federal Appeal Court came down with this decision. And talking to Katie, over the last couple of days, she has said to me, what's really going on here? This is look over here, not over there, because the government can still punish you if you disagree with them. I believe she's right. This looks like a coincidence. However, why did they come down with this fine within 24 hours of the other decision being made that was in favor of freedom in this country? I think it was a direct single and symbol of how this liberal government hates freedom and likes to oppress people. So $10,000 fine for what, you might ask? And of course, it's been over 2.5 months now since this massacre of the ostriches. Well, the CFIA, the Canadian Food Inspection Agency, is arguing that the farm did not properly report sickness at the farm in December 2024. Yes, that long ago. And that they were only informed, the CFIA was only informed as a result of a random tip, an anonymous tip. Now, within minutes, perhaps an hour of this decision being made, Katie Pisitne, spokeswoman for the farm, had all of the call logs on her Facebook page. She had all of the evidence posted that the CFIA, true to form, not only do they do massacres very well, they congenitally and chronically lie. This is an agency of deep mendacity. And it was completely erroneous, completely untrue that the farm did not seek veterinary advice as to the sickness on the farm, which of course has never actually been conclusively shown to be avian influenza. It was based on two PCR tests, which we now know are hugely inaccurate, as Redacted has reported, but on 2 dead birds. So we never even actually substantiated what the sickness was. But then the CFI has the gall to say they didn't report it, which they did, and they have the proof. They've got the receipts for that one. And then this anonymous tip came after they had actually reported it. So they've got them dead to rights. They've got the CFA. Katie has proven that the farm, once again, is innocent. The CFIA is up to their lying ways and trying to extract another $10,000 from this family. Their farm looks like a war zone. They have ruined the farm. They have left bales of hay all over the place as the snow descends for winter. They have done everything possible to destroy the lives and the livelihood of this family. They failed at that, but they destroyed the farm in the process. And today, they've got the absolute nerve to suggest this has something to do with public health, finding this farm now, after they've destroyed all of the animals. They've destroyed the ostriches. So this, as Katie says, this makes absolutely no sense, except if you think it's about punishment. That's all this is, to hold the farm up again, right, to absolute ridicule and hatred from the people who believe somehow this was all necessary and they brought this on themselves. Yeah. And that's who the CFI is trying to appeal to. They're trying to appease. It's not working, Clayton. People are looking at this and they're saying, there they go again, terrorizing this farm, trying to humiliate this family and trying to push them further down.
Well, and not only that, but the irony of, if I can, the irony of like fining them for not reporting it, but the threatening to fine them when they were trying to get their own vets to find out if the animals were sick. Like that's they're going to fine them $250,000 if they got their own vet.
$250,000 and 6 months in jail if they had tested their ostriches without the approval of the CFIA, which the CFIA, of course, refused to give because they knew those birds were healthy. This was the game they were playing. So you're quite right, Philip. What an irony.
Awful. Oh, poor woman. What's happened to them up there is just absolutely awful. Well, David, thank you so much for shedding light on it as usual. Thanks for your great work. Thanks for covering a couple of stories for us today that we wanted updates on. So anyway, my thoughts go out to Katie and the team over there. But thank you for your great work up there in Ottawa, David. As always, great to see you.
Always nice to see you too, Clayton. Thank you so much for having me on.
So it's on. Now I got another surprise for you all. Here is a video talking about the same thing, only with the child trafficking. And who do you think did this video? Nicole Tamara Nicholas. You're looking at it right here, where she said, roll the tape.
Tempta. Abdul Koshayat Biwasa Moshepa Tempta. Greetings, everyone. I am Saset Tawaret Ale, a white Autochthon female of Anianwea and Panamanian descent. I just watched the video of Justin Trudeau's brother. Justin Trudeau, as you know, is the Prime Minister of Canada, as is corporately known. And there were three brothers. Justin's the middle child. You just saw the oldest, and the youngest was killed in an avalanche accident. There's a very creepy video of Justin and his mother recapping basically how Michelle was his name, died, and Justin was just like, yeah, if he had just stayed inside and played video games, that would have made the difference. And his mother's purring on his shoulder like a girlfriend rather than a mother. But that's a different story. This video that just played is one of the most organic and necessary modes of action that has to take place. I implore everyone who's watching to do the same thing that Justin Trudeau's brothers, eldest brothers doing, that I'm doing, that White Work is doing. This needs to be a full-on campaign of people, the public, saying and imploring those who are in power, who have been compromised, caught with their pants down, caught, at a party doing whatever with whomever, child, animal, drinking, slipping, sliding, every nefarious act that could possibly exist. We don't really care that much. If it's not our child that was done something to directly, most people are going to forget about it. I'm imploring all of you politicians, all of you people in high power that are holding the public hostage because you're scared of some video being released, this is pretty much still high school. Yeah, we'll, laugh and scoff and isolate you for a time, but soon people will forget. That's how it always happens. Stuff blows over. Do not continue to do the bidding of the tyrannical people for years after year after year after year after year till it turns into decades, until society at large turns into what you see now, because there's just a few puppet masters holding a few people hostage that have control over the majority of the people on the planet. Just roll the tape. That is the point of this video. Just roll the tapes. We don't care. They did their best at holding you hostage with you being compromised with your pants down. You didn't think stuff was going to be recorded. You either willingly did it like his brother said, or you got somebody slipped you a Mickey. You're a victim. Okay? We don't care. We just want all of this dumb corruption and all this idiocracy to end. We just want it to end. Just roll the tape. Just roll the tape. Yeah, it'll be hot news for however long, and then it's on to the next thing. This is still high school for the most part. Please don't be scared of the period where people look at you grossly because you did X, Y, and Z to a baby. Wasn't my baby. So I'm being blunt, I'm being honest. Most people will look at it like that. Wasn't my child, feel sorry for whoever it was, but I'd rather hear about it and move on to the next thing rather than spend the next 10, 15, 20 years being manipulated into a war machine, a propaganda machine that is causing all kinds of division, death, starvation, and moving us into a world that's very bleak. The future is not so bright. Not as bright as when I was growing up as a child. There's nothing but Matrix and futuristic type movies that are what they call post-apocalyptic, and everything is very uncertain. It's ugly. Nobody really likes it. So please just roll the tape. We don't care. We'll care for a little while, but you will be forgotten. Nobody thinks about what a horrible act such and such did whenever. It's not on everybody's every day forever the rest of their lives. They're going to be thinking about you, hating you, being disgusted by the thought of you. They will be more disgusted by the tyranny that you carry out rather than what happened at a party when you either got slipped a Mickey or you certainly knowingly walked into the party. And this is what we're seeing now by far and large, that people in every industry are walking away from their positions. Why is that? Because these things that happen at parties, either unwillingly or willingly, they're coming to light now. There's no disputing it. Somebody who says, oh, I want a record deal, you stupid. You ought to know that it's not just your talent that's going to get you a record deal. You got to be ready to bend over, bend somebody else over, blood's involved, all kinds of satanic stuff. None of the industries are clean. They're all tainted and people know it, especially the music industry, politics, everything. So just roll the tape. Just roll the tape. We don't care. Just roll the tape. They have no leverage over you. Stop being scared. You don't have to be victimized. You don't have to be cornered. You don't have to live in a small pocket of your delusions and fear. The fear that you feel cannot be greater than what is happening to the world because of a sex tape, an animal sex tape, a baby sex tape, whatever it is. Just roll the tape and end the tyranny that these puppet masters have you committing against the masses. Just roll the tape. We don't care. Just roll the tape. And everyone, do this same video and use that line. Just roll the tape.
So I would like people to put their comments, thoughts in the chat on Zoom and on Facebook. So all this talk Nicole was saying as she went to the tyrannists, the hypocrisy, the contradiction, and now everyone has it. Now this was a raw file that she did. She was trying to get this, put some other imagery in. That's why you see the sound is not matching the video. Same video. So wherever it is, I'll see where I can find it. But you all heard it straight from the horse's mouth, or in this case, the donkey's mouth. You've heard it. So any comments, please, in Zoom and on Facebook. So let's go over to Facebook and see what the comments are over there. Okay, let me go home and I should be able to get into my Zoom. Oh, I gotta go click here. And I'll see. Ooh, wow, 20 comments. We got a lot of comments there. Okay, Hathapoya. No courts, it's all fraud. Hathapoya. Charles is no king, he is a fraud. Yuhu Tua, got it. Yuhu got it. Or Tua. Let's see here. Yeah, I'm just trying to get, because I'm only seeing 4 comments here, even though I clicked on, yeah, I'm clicking on 20 comments, 7 shares, and it's not letting me. Yeah, it's not letting me get to go home, and it's not letting me. Yep. See, look at this. I can't get to the rest of the. Yeah, it's not letting me get to. Okay, let me go home, and it's not letting me. Let me manage. Yep. See, look at this. I can't get to the rest of the. Yeah, it's not letting me get to. Okay, let me go home. Let's see here. Live link. Okay, let me try here and see if I can get there so I can get into the comments. I'm the moderator, and it's amazing. I can't even. Okay, yeah, that's it. There we go. There we go. Okay. Kuyani Tua, Hathapoya Tua. Okay, so that's it. I'm gonna have to count these. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, right. So I'm all caught up on the comments there. Great. So this is her saying, stop the tyranny. Don't worry about the blackmail. And then here she goes and runs right to the tyranny. So that tells you it was about control and it was about power for her. Where are we at here? So let's go. So I'm glad that everyone was able to see that. So now they can see the hypocrisy and the contradictions. So how's Nicole going to be a credible witness? She's not credible. I don't know she's watching. Let me see here. Okay, so we got all that on the way, the organ harvesting. So let's go to the next video. Oh, this is a good one. I swear to I feel if it ain't City Hall or Edmonton Law Courts, I say there's a Draco reptilian cave beneath the city of Edmonton. So check this one out. Take a look-see at this. Okay, let me switch my screen over. All right, this is fabulous, this video here.
Did you know that draconian reptilians, who are interdimensional extraterrestrial beings, are the most ancient race of beings in the entire universe? This is noted in recent CIA-released UFO documents by the Freedom of Information Act. The reptilian draconian empires and societies live in the constellation of Draco, with their main systems called Alpha, Epsilon, and Sigma. There are 7 different ancient reptilian species in the Draconis constellation star systems, but 3 main reptoid races, including the Alpha Draconians, are the most known and feared. They have been permanently on Terra, also known as Earth, for over 15,000 years, and sporadically for much longer. Going back millions of years, archaeological evidence has recently surfaced in modern-day Iraq, revealing small statuettes of lizard people. Radiocarbon dating places their origin approximately 50,000 years ago. This evidence is corroborated by the African Dogon tribe and the Aboriginal melanated Australians. Declassified documents also indicate that Saddam Hussein discovered a Stargate portal and advanced alien weaponry adorned with winged serpent symbolism, the emblem of the reptilian empire. They have colonized over 500 planets by means of infiltration through governments and other leadership positions, and have a presence on thousands of planets. Their three homeworlds are Thuban Anwar, the Alpha Draconian Empire's main and most ancient homeworld, Tifon Jansar, located in Sigma, and Grumium Eltanin, located in Epsilon Draconis. Many reptiloid species, like the Chakar, Nagai, and Mazarek for instance, feed off etheric substance as well as flesh and blood. They feed off all mammal species and consume live flesh blood, and both sources of nourishment are, in fact, intrinsically linked. It is easy to understand when you consider that flesh and blood have low etheric frequency, especially when imbued with the vibration of fear and pain experienced at death. This is also another reason why reptilian invaders work at hidden agendas to maintain a certain level of grief, starvation, destruction, and despair. There is also a very strong reason why they do not want to let go of the ownership of Earth, also known as terror, adrenochrome, a substance produced on Earth by children submitted to extreme pain and fear, and more valuable to reptilians than anything else in the universe. This highly prized drug, excreted from the human body through a needle that you place in the left eye or back in a vertebra of the spine, gives them a kick. It helps their body cells regenerate and also benefits in the shape-shifting process, which lasts longer. This is the main reason why Terran Earth abductees are trafficked by extraterrestrial reptilians disguised as organized crime societies such as corrupt governments and cartels. This is the main reason why Earth abductees never return, especially children being used as food or slaves. They also abduct female beings on a large scale in order to create hybrid offspring to be sent away to other colonized planets, or otherwise these offspring become powerful members, infiltrated in the main leading societies. Here are the currently recorded various species of reptilian species. Alpha Draconians of Chakar. These reptilian beings are the master ancient race of all reptilian humanoids. They originate from the Thuban star system, or Alpha Draconis, which is 215 light-years from Terra and was formerly your pole star. They are sapient reptoids who were dumped here by another vastly superior reptilian race, the Tiamatian, from another dimension. Their original homeworlds are named Lokas and Talos, and the points of entry into our known universe were through interdimensional portals in the zone of the Thuban and Alwade systems. Alpha Draconians name themselves Chakar, and are considered by their technological advancement in warfare as a master reptilian race. You find them also named Dracos or Drax. Their bodies possess consequent coverage in order to protect their skin from attacks, while the upper caste has wings allowing them to travel fast. Quite tall creatures, they are heavily muscular, built and covered in scales. They vary in color, but their hues are very heavily melanated, which makes their safari desert home worlds the perfect environment with 7 bioengineered dwarf suns. This is known as the most violent, tyrant warmongering race out of all the reptilians. It is also key to know the way you can tell a Chakar is by them having wings and stronger upper and lower bodies. However, through the mass expansion of cosmic history, there are countless Draco-reptilians who left their homeworlds and draconian culture over millennia and saw higher vibrational ways of life and joined the Galactic Federation of Worlds to fight the Empire. The most popular reptilian draconian known throughout the cosmos was Tiamat, the draconian dragon queen of Orion. She was a reptilian princess who first saved a group of Lyran race beings from the Draco's takeover of Avion. Later, she was gifted a planet, and that a piece of that planet would one day become Earth, or what other extraterrestrials called Terra. Evidence of this can be found in the Enuma Elish. She then birthed a unique hybrid race of beings known as the Anunnaki Royals of Nibiru. These half-Lyran and reptilian beings would genetically modify and mix their DNA with modern humans millions of years later. The Chiakar Empire and the ruling elite sees Earth and Earthlings as a source of nourishment for trade and slavery, so they do not particularly have patience or love for humans. Although it is often believed that a warrior race is not intelligent, the Draconians make an exception to this rule. They are expert geneticists and have engineered and modified many biological species that we know today, including the Orion Tall and short grey aliens, who are technically cloned plasma, non-bio life forms, unable to procreate. For thousands of years, the race of grey aliens were cloned and engineered by the reptilians and became slaves to the Chiakar. Reptilian draconians possess either 3 or 5 long-clawed fingers with an opposable thumb with talons on the ends, a large inferior jaw, holes for ears, and large eyes. Their genitalia are hidden by a flap of skin. They wear very little clothing except for extra armor, often seen with a belt used as an invisibility device. They are cold-blooded and need an adequate environment to maintain their body moisture and temperature. Nonetheless, their scales protect them from moisture loss, larger and thicker on their back. They are also fitted for space travel due to their ability to hibernate. Most, not all, have supernatural technological powers such as shape-shifting, telepathy, interdimensional traveling, and lastly cloaking, which is for high-ranked draconians. They are differentiated into 2 main types: the Earth Draconians and the Off-World Draconians. The Terra Draconians predate Earthlings by hundreds of millions of years. Like other reptilians, they falsely claim to have originated on Earth millions of years ago, a fact they use to justify their attempt to retake this planet for their own. The truth is that they found it before anybody else and disputed its ownership with the Lyrans, Seleuci, and Anunnaki, claiming it as theirs. Any other new visiting race was considered by them as invasive. Because of their ability for interdimensional travel, the Galactic Federation of Worlds has locked the Earth Draconian Empire into the 3rd dimensional plane and also blocked the off-world Draconians from penetrating the Earth star system by an energy barrier at the outskirts of the solar system. Chiakar were one of the first species to reach interstellar travel level, and they have obstructed the evolution of many cultures, preventing them from achieving the same level of technology. They also seeded many worlds with their biological offspring and hybrids, considering themselves as the original rulers of controlled worlds, superior to the indigenous species they see as inferior races. They are also interested in harvesting Earth's resources, utilizing the local populations to do the job for them. This is done by a hidden control of the media, financial corporations, and industrial companies. You are confronted with a belligerent civilization that breeds from eggs boosted with hormones quickening the birth to create strong warriors who can live underground and in the most remote and hostile parts of your planet. They are attempting to take over the planet in what we call the window of opportunity, which is the period before a federated society becomes an interplanetary and interstellar power, and yours is now beginning to close. The problem is that we, of the Galactic Federation of Worlds, cannot give you right now the technology of interstellar travel because you are not yet federated among yourselves as a unique, peaceful society. You need to grow and mature to reach by yourselves this liminal threshold in your evolution. And believe me, we are doing the best in our capacities to hasten you getting there as quickly as possible. On the other side, all these invasive races such as Greys, reptilians, are at the moment working very hard to maintain this window open by retaining advanced technology from the Earthlings and entertaining confusion, conflicts, and wars. The Draconian Empire biggest fear is that Earthlings will reach interstellar travel, which will make humanoids the biggest threat to reptilians. The Draconian Empire does not want this to happen. Their ships have wide-range variations, often discoidal, but there is a constant movement with the Empire motherships, which are huge and cigarette-long with large rectangular vessels. As the reptilians expanded their reach throughout the cosmos, they were feared greatly by many, and the negative ideologies of race began. There were civilizations who would not accept reptilian draconian refugees, even if women or children. They were always detected right off by their dark, scaly appearance. They had left the self-service grip of the Chiaka Empire, but were treated with every prejudice, especially in the Pleiadian star system. References to this can be found in Elena Darnan's book, We Will Never Let You Down. Elena Darnan describes her meeting with Thorhan, a Pleiadian emissary. Thor describes that Nibiru was the planet for the dark, black, and albino reptilian refugees, and later all refugees of various civilizations in the Orion and Sirius constellations.
All right, so I put that in the chat. You can watch the rest. Telling you this is what it is. On to the next one. Oh, okay. Well, it's not long.
Essential peppermint oil. So easy to make. All you have to do is get 1 cup of organic coconut oil and then add to that 30 drops of a high quality essential peppermint oil and then 1 teaspoon of baking soda and mix that up really good and swish it around in your mouth for about 30 seconds to a minute whenever you want freshened breath. Get rid of this toxic mouthwash that may contain endocrine disrupting and hormone damaging chemicals like triclosan. So easy to make.
There you go. Next article. If you're not on White Autochthon News Network on Telegram, please go there and subscribe. And then you'll get the links automatically as well as the articles that are there. And you can also post articles. USA has 178 underground cities. The shocking part is the vast tunnel system the elites use for child trafficking, the same deep hideouts they're banking on to survive doomsday. So if anyone has any questions, go right ahead. Phone line is open, 587-712-0639.
The same out of 1 out of 100, there's a chance, if I was a guy and I had the same out of 1 out of 100, there's a chance that she can steal your children, put you on child support for 8, like ruin your entire life, call you an abuser. I'm like, would I do, even if it was just 1, I don't think I'd do it.
And the fact is that the state puts that gun in every woman's hand.
Yeah.
Whether they use it or not, you don't know, but they have the gun. And a lot of guys are starting to say, I'm not doing the gun.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. I don't need to test her character. I'm not getting involved with somebody that can shoot me at any moment that she gets an urge.
Yeah.
And that's what they're dealing with. And these tradcons do not want guys hearing that.
And yeah, I think it's really freeing as a woman, to be honest, because I'd rather like know what's going on and then you can act accordingly. But when they're lying to you, how do you can't make a good decision without all the information. And that's what I think is mean about the tradcons, is they don't give men the right information. They lie. And
they
that's
refuse to. They want to avoid the right information. They don't want men having that or thinking about it. Excuse me.
So I was like, even if I had a 1% chance, if I had a 1% chance of getting divorce rates, if I was a girl and I had that, like, if I was a guy and I had
contract, that's what it comes back to again. Get it in writing. Let's see, what is this? Hackers are saying people are being watched.
Remote. I mean, anything with a battery and a connection or remote connection in any type of way where it reaches the outside of that device is hackable or has been hacked.
We're talking about the Internet of Things. We're talking about putting chips into physical objects and connecting them to the Internet. And what that does is create a lot of data. And that data can be used for convenience, for efficiency, but it can also be a very attractive nuisance for hackers. And it also doesn't receive privacy protection under the Fourth Amendment in the way that you and I think, would like to see it protected.
What big tech has created in surveillance capitalism is more pervasive and more intrusive than anything you could ever possibly. It's more pervasive than Marcus Wolf of the Stasi or Beria of the KGB, of the NKVD could ever possibly
or anything
imagine.
that happens in contemporary North Korea.
Yes, exactly.
Samsung issued this updated warning, or whatever you want to call it, on their products that this may be happening. Sort of an ominously worded document, right?
It was a little ominous. It said, be careful about what you say in front of the television. Try not to have any sensitive conversations in your living room because the TV is going to be recording what you say and sending that data off to another company.
People still close the bathroom stall when you go into the toilet. You still close the shower curtain. We still do lots of things that we expect to have a privacy, but yet people with a regular phone put it on their nightstand and are surprised that the microphone is listening.
They didn't break in. They didn't need to, because you let them in. A few smart upgrades, a voice assistant here, a connected TV there, maybe even a charger that seemed a little too convenient. You clicked I agree without reading the fine print, because everyone does. But in that moment, you didn't just make your life easier, you opened the door to something else. Now your home runs on data, and it's not just collecting yours, it's sending it somewhere. Quietly, constantly, without ever asking again. So think about it. How many devices inside your house are actually spying on you? The answer is more than you think.
Anything remote, infrared, like a TV remote that goes for projectors, audio devices, ceiling fans, very simple stuff, along with access control badges, anything sub-gigahertz, like key fobs or remote controls for anything, parking gates, so much.
Everything.
Everything.
You think you're alone in your living room, while the TV's on standby and the remote is just sitting there on the couch. But what if that remote, the one inches from your face, is constantly collecting data? In 2015, Samsung quietly dropped a line into their smart TV manual. Not a bug warning, not a battery tip, a sentence that read, if your spoken words include personal or other sensitive information, that information will be among the data captured and transmitted. They weren't warning you about a glitch. They were admitting the remote could hear everything. It was a disclosure, legal protection for behavior they knew would raise questions. And it did. The story exploded after The Guardian reported on it. The Electronic Privacy Information Center, or EPIC, filed a complaint to the FTC. They accused Samsung of collecting user voice data without proper disclosure or consent. And the EFF went further, comparing it to something straight out of 1984. Their warning? Don't talk about personal matters near your television, ever. And what can happen if you leave your remote lying around?
Anything with a battery and a connection or remote connection in any type of way where it reaches the outside of that device is hackable or has been hacked.
Anything remote and connected to a network, just like your TV remote, can be easily hacked to get all your personal data. Even if you try disabling the mic in your remote, for a second, it looks like it worked. The voice command icon disappears. But that's just for show. The system doesn't stop listening. It just stops responding to you. What you've disabled isn't the microphone, it's the trigger. The hardware stays active. The logs keep building. And the light? It's just for show. And that's the part they don't advertise. Because this wasn't just Samsung. Most smart remotes now include wake word detection, which means the mic is always on standby. So ask yourself, if a device can hear you when you're not speaking to it, who's it really designed to serve? And also, what could happen when the same power isn't tucked behind your TV, but sitting in your pocket? Yes, we're talking about your mobile phone. It's the one device that never leaves your side. Your alarm clock, your camera, your bank, your map. But underneath all that convenience, is the most advanced tracking system you've ever owned, and you carry it around willingly. You don't need to open an app. You don't even need to touch it. Your phone is collecting data all the time, whether it's in your hand, on your nightstand, or stuffed in a drawer. Here's what your phone is doing while you're asleep.
So what happens to those recordings?
Well, we've been doing a study following our device, a Google Mobile Services phone, any Android running Google Mobile Services, which is all of them, or an iPhone. And at about 3 a.m., we're seeing a spike of data leaving the phone, about 50 megabytes. That is basically that phone dialing home to the mothership, exporting all of your goings on.
All your pillow talk is going to
Pillow talk, whatever.
We think of our phones as passive tools, but they're not. They watch, they listen, they predict. People often joke, my phone heard me, when an ad pops up seconds after a private conversation. But when thousands of people experience this, maybe it's not a joke at all. And it's not just what you say. Your movements, your browsing, your app habits, everything builds a detailed fingerprint of your behavior. A digital version of you, constantly being tracked, bought, and sold without your permission. That's why I use Incogni, a subscription service that removes your personal data from hundreds of data brokers that collect and resell it. The process is super simple. You create an account using only the personal info you want removed. Then, you give Incogni the right to act on your behalf. After that, you can sit back and relax. Incogni will do the rest, automatically contacting data brokers and making sure your info is wiped from their systems. I've personally seen my data removed, and with how aggressive tracking has become, it's one of the easiest steps you can take today to protect your digital life. Take your personal data back with Incogni. Use code ADVICE at the link below and get 60% off an annual plan. But tracking is just the beginning, because the next threat? It doesn't need your data, just a charging cable.
What is that?
All right, so I'll put that one in the chat. Again, if people have any questions, go right ahead. You can also go ahead and call me. The phone line is open. Now this one is talking about 3i Atlas and the Dracos.
They're trying to tell us that 3i Atlas is a reptilian mothership meant to evolve starseed. Also this week, the New York Post came out with an article that said humans have alien DNA. Duh. It reminds me of this video that I posted earlier this year. The aliens are already here, and yes, reptilians exist. They've been soft disclosing it forever. Show from 1983 is next level disclosure.
I'd have to get my tape to show you, but that's pretty close.
Reptilian. Amazing.
No, not really. Listen, this could have happened right here on Earth. What? Look, up to 60 million years ago, the reptiles ruled the Earth. Then, bam, a meteor. A big one.
Ladies and gentlemen, you have just seen a terrorist attack on the hospital. But it wasn't terrorism. It was resistance. Resistance to the monsters who are trying to take over this planet. You see them as they really are. Reptiles. They must be defeated.
If the visitors do have an enemy, they ought to be intelligent enough to translate this.
How long do you think it takes to reach them?
Well, it depends on how far away they are. A few years, probably.
Years?
Uh-huh. We're going to keep on transmitting day and night. Right, Kenny?
Hope they got the ghetto glasses tuned in on us.
If they do, let's hope they're on our side.
Now they're trying to.
And the next one is now, I think this is, okay, so this one here is next one on the Edmonton
Alberta's chief justices have come together to send a strong message about judicial independence.
It comes after the premier says she...
So this is what's happening in Edmonton now. When we did the ritual, the computer of all things said Edmonton, Alberta is an an interdimensional test site. So the previous video that I talked about that was showing how the reptilians are interdimensional travelers. They can travel interdimensionally. Now you see the end result of the confusion and the all of this activity and sparks and internal fighting that usually remains private amongst politicians and officials is now going public. So watch this.
Alberta's chief justices have come together to send a strong message about judicial independence.
It comes after the premier says she wished she could direct judges. As Sarah Commodino reports, it's a strong public statement from a group who rarely speaks out.
I wish I could direct the judges.
Judges are calling for respect days after Premier Danielle Smith made these comments on her radio show, Your Province, Your Premier. She was asked a question about bail laws.
In fact, I just wrote a letter to Mark Carney saying maybe we should look at a way, now that we've got some openings on King's Bench, for us to have a joint process to choose those judges so that we start choosing judges in Alberta that reflect the values of how we want them to operate here.
Smith also recently talked about what she calls activists and unelected judges and said some court decisions undermine decisions of elected leaders. Tuesday, the Court of Justice, King's Bench, and Court of Appeal made a joint statement. It says a healthy democracy requires strong and independent executive, legislative, and judicial branches of government. Adding, quote, "It is equally important that each branch respect and support the independence of others."
I think in Alberta, democracy is under threat.
Criminal Trial Lawyers Association President Sean King says it's rare 3 different levels of judges come together like this.
This is a slippery slope of democracy in Alberta being eroded, and I think the judges are finally getting to the point where they need to say something.
The province said in a statement, while recent court rulings have rightfully led Albertans and Canadians alike to question aspects of our criminal justice system, our government respects the role of each branch of government and supports their independence. Last week, 30 Camrose lawyers wrote a letter with similar messaging, and King says the CTLA is working on one too.
Maybe it is coming from a good place where our government is concerned about things, but we still need to do this in the way that's constitutional, a way that's safe. The judicial system is put into place there, so we can have an independent arbiter.
Sarah Commodino, Global News.
Global News is one of the major stations here. Global City, CTV, CBC. So now we're going on to the next article.
Another turn of events today at a high-profile murder trial. Justin Bone has gone back on his decision to fire his defense lawyer. Bone made the announcement this morning after telling the judge yesterday that he was firing David Woolsey, claiming he wasn't satisfied with his work. Bone is accused of killing 2 strangers in Chinatown nearly 4 years ago. Now, the judge had warned Bone that if he didn't keep his lawyer, he would have to represent himself for the rest of the trial.
Now, what was wrong with that? So you see, obviously somebody heard or saw my video, and now he reverses his decision after firing that lawyer about 3 times and another lawyer a couple of times. Well. Why the turnabout now?
RC.
The government continues to say that the court shouldn't be trusted. Our democratic society starts to erode from there.
Plus, a rare rebuke from Alberta's chief justices. What the premier did, they're taking issue with.
They never put that in that main piece. They took it out.
The government continues to say that the court shouldn't be trusted. Our democratic society starts to erode from there.
Plus, a rare rebuke from Alberta's chief justices, but the premier did they're taking issue with.
The government continues.
Alberta's chief justices are stressing the importance of independence of the courts in a rare open letter. It comes after a series of public comments from Premier Danielle Smith aimed at judges and the judiciary. CTV's Stephanie Thomas reports.
The statement by the Chief Justices of Alberta Courts posted online Tuesday explains the basics often taught.
And what's interesting is if you have something online, the judges want to filter what is acceptable to file in a case. So if you have video, a post, audio, social networking, you got to go before them and then they make the determination whether that can be acceptable in your court case. But notice when it's them, they're posting stuff online. So you can't have it both ways. You can't say, well, it's got to go in front of a judge. Do that in court, but they want to do it privately first and filter that out. But then when the premier says, when you criticize the justices, they get very prickly. Now all three justices from three branches want to comment. What do? Did they put that in the newspaper or take out a one-page ad? No, they put it on the internet and published it. So again, what's good for the goose is good for the gander. But people always people are coming in. When I was going to family court, I got the video right here. I've got a CD. I've got a USB. And they're like, no, you have to file in court and then get permission from the judge. So now you lose court time trying to go in to get your post accepted. Meanwhile, they turn around and publish a letter that they want their world respected. But yet when people have evidence, you have to go in front of them and they become the gatekeepers as to whether your post, your video will be allowed in court case. That's hypocrisy. That's two-facedness, and that's I would say that's obstruction because they're gonna pick and choose which videos they want to bring in. But when they want the word out, they're publishing on the internet.
In social studies or law courses, but the letter itself stands out.
It's not unheard of, but it sure is uncommon.
The letter addresses Albertans as proud Albertans. It says the executive branch makes policy, the legislative branch makes laws, and the judicial branch interprets them, and they all must work independently as per the Constitution. Premier Danielle Smith has made a series of comments criticizing judges, most recently on her weekly call-in radio show, when she said she wished she could direct judges regarding bail reform and wants provinces to help Ottawa appoint 2 levels of judges.
I wish I could direct the judges, honestly, Chris. The judges get very, very prickly when you criticize them, but boy.
And in November, she said,
democracy is when the elected officials make decisions. Democracy is not when unelected judges unilaterally make decisions.
Justice studies professors say elected officials should not direct the courts.
Politics change. The legal doctrine shouldn't change in terms of judicial decisions and things like that.
The notion of appointment in this is conflating American rhetoric and American messaging to the Canadian reality. It's not just apples and oranges. We're comparing grapes to watermelons.
A spokesperson for the justices say the letter was not in reaction to the premier. Still, Alberta's NDP justice critic says the UCP government actions, including Bill 14, put the justices on the defensive.
Premier lectures everyone to stay in their lane, but she is incapable of picking her own lane and staying in that.
CTV News asked Premier Danielle Smith for comment. Instead, in a statement, her press secretary told us recent court rulings had led to questions being raised about the courts, and her office respects the role of each branch of government and their independence. Stephanie Thomas, CTV News, Calgary.
So public officials are watching Why to Talk the News Network. And all this is coming out now. Told them that Edmonton is an interdimensional testing ground. And here it is. Obviously, this is coming out now because of the expose on the Edmonton law courts and the judiciary as a whole in the province of Alberta.
A Calgary police officer has been dismissed after an investigation determined he sexually exploited a female colleague.
Constable Mike Oakey was demoted in 2024 after he pleaded guilty to sharing intimate video of himself and a female coworker, as well as nude images of her without her consent. The hearing happened last week, and today the presiding officer ruled Oakey should be dismissed from the force. Oakey's lawyer says he plans to appeal that decision. They have 30 days to do so, and until then, Oakey will be effectively suspended without pay.
Everyone who ate breakfast this morning needs to hear this. Eating 3 meals a day was created by the Rockefeller Foundation. Our ancestors didn't eat 3 times a day. If they ate 3 times a week, that was a lot. Your body is meant to be in a fasted state. Why do you heal when you sleep? Because you're fasted. Your body's able to take the energy that it normally would use, breaking down and digesting food, and instead it's putting it towards healing and feeling sick. Don't go to the white coat who has no idea what he's talking about. Throw a 36-hour fast at it. Stem cells are activated. They go to the area of injury. They go to the areas that need healing. Your body thrives in a fasted state. Don't buy into the 3 meals a day. It was created to keep you fat, lazy, and reliant on the Rockefeller food system. Never should obesity be installed.
There we go. That was a good one. Oh, yeah.
That's correct. I submitted to the committee documents.
This is a
That's correct. I submitted to the committee documents that show some of the latest work and findings that we find in the material science of these objects. But I want to point out, too, that to my shock, absolute shock, was a paper that was given to me through the Freedom of Information Act, in which it describes all my work in the OSTP in the White House, given to President Obama at the time he was trying to raise money for the medical care bill. And the individual that wrote the article stated that my work was not correct, or the work done by my team was not correct, and that it was secret work that was done by some governmental agency. This also should be released to the public because it would save billions of dollars in healthcare. And what is the implication? Break it down for me, please. Now, that has nothing to do at all with the material science associated with these objects that we found here. This is a very advanced nanotechnology. These are nanotechnological devices in which nanocarbon tubes, either single or double wall, I won't go into the... but they can be elongated and weaved into carbon nanofibers, carbon nanostrands, and they end in crystalline structures, which are what we call orthorhombic, which are regular rectangular structures. So here's a very, very advanced when I say nanotechnological, I'm talking about things that are on a level of the size of an atom, using the principal elements of certain materials, putting them together in such a way so that you're actually broadcasting or switching what we perceive as a radio wave, which may not be a radio wave. It could be scalar technology. That's correct. I submit.
Oh, nanotech implants found. You want to bust them up, you get you can get yourself some organic tobacco or nicotine patches. That's what you have to do to dissolve those in your body.
There's a moth. So there's a Mandica sexta moth. That's what it's called. It's a large moth.
The fire coming out of them. What fire? The solar plex fire. Solar. Now let me speak to you about a fire that's burning inside of us that they don't have. Their palate is low. You understand me? We have an inner torch in the ancient writings of Michelangelo noticed his name, Michelangelo, the angel Michael, he made a picture of Jesus, Jesus, and he always would draw a little torch in his chest, a little candle. That's right. Remember that picture? Right. They never told you what that torch meant, though. That torch is an inner light, like I said last time. Anybody here who is 9 ether, 8 ether, or 7 ether, and when I say 7, 8, and 9 ether, I'm talking about the texture of your kingly hair.
Die for knowledge.
Hold on, I'm just checking something here.
A Calgary police officer
Oh, okay,
has
we
been
already saw that one. Yeah, I'm not on TikTok anymore. Here's why.
Point TikTok has basically become Israeli spyware. This is from Mint Press News. TikTok is being run by a bunch of Unit 8200 agents, which is the Israeli version of the NSA. Root Medallion, who works on the trust and safety team on TikTok, based in New York. And would you look at that? Israeli Military Intelligence Unit 8200. Here's another one. Omer Carmeli, global marketing at TikTok, former field operations specialist, IDF Elite Intelligence Unit. Einav Mir, client solutions manager at TikTok, and she used to be, would you look at that, a web intelligence analyst for the Israeli military Unit 8200. Probably just a coincidence, right, guys? Okay, this is important information to know. Former Unit 8200 agents working hand-in-hand with the Israeli National Security State have gone on to create some of the world's most notorious malware and hacking products. A case in point is the Pegasus software used to spy on more than 50,000 journalists, politicians, diplomats, business leaders, and human rights defenders. That is not ideal, to say the least, but has always been the goal from the very beginning. Just look at their new terms of service, which will collect basically everything from your phone, including now your medical information. Look, I'm not going to say that TikTok wasn't spyware before when it was owned by the Chinese, but the new masters have officially taken it to a whole nother level here. At this point, TikTok has basically become Israeli spyware. This is from Mint Press.
There you have it. That's why I'm not on TikTok anymore. This is a perfect one. I'm going to play this. Y'all are going to enjoy this. And this is what Nicole was talking about on Roll the Tape and being bending over and bent over. So it looks like she bent over and got bent over.
Something that we never hear artists do, and that's speak on Michelle Lamy, which is the high priestess of Hollywood. A$AP Rocky talks about her demonic ways. Check out this clip.
Take me to Freeze outfit, and I let them mentor me, like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
is hip hop misunderstanding her?
Who, Michelle Lamy? I can't justify the dark shit and weird shit she do. I think she her. I don't think they misunderstanding it. Like, do she worship the devil? I wouldn't know, because she don't do none of that shit around me. But they do have iconography and imagery that looks like it's very, you know,
like their new the new ad campaign joint with the kissing.
But they gay. Rick Owens gay.
Yeah, but I don't think it's just a gay thing. It's the imagery. It's not.
It's dark, bro. I can't justify that shit.
It'd be a lot, bro. It'd be a lot.
Look, I can't justify that shit. But yo, bro, we talking about gay Europeans? Like, we won't understand that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But that's them. I love the fact that I'm comfortable in those rooms. Like, You know, it ain't no spells being casted when I'm around. But I can't justify, you know what I'm saying? And I ain't doing no rituals. Like, she just taught me about art. She took me to Freeze Art Fair. She shot my album cover, and she gave me a nice diamond ring to, you know, do the album cover, the one called At Long Last, ASAP. You know what I'm saying? She creative directed a lot of stuff for me. And I'm gonna forever love that lady. You know what I'm saying? She always showed me love and embraced me and taught me, you know?
This album covers Tim Burton, right?
Tim Burton, man.
That's crazy.
You know, what many people like this don't even understand, because they may not be in tune with the spirit, but you can come into agreement with different people and different things that they are in agreement with just by coming into agreement with them. You understand? And allowing them to come into your atmosphere, your environment, your realm, your world, and play a part in it. The different things that are on them can climb onto you just through verbal contract agreement. You get me? That's why you need to keep the armor of God on. Protect yourself.
Always talk about armor of God. What is it? Describe it. They don't even talk about, well, what is it? And what's the name? Because God is English.
At all times. Not just meaning physically, but with things you come into agreement with. It's as simple as even listening to demonic music. You go to a demonic concert, you're coming into agreement with it. That's why I say guard your ears and your eyes, because these are portals. They're gates, spiritual gates for you. And you can come into agreement with things just by opening those up. I showed you guys that Zena LeVay and her friend who was on a TV show that one time, and he was talking about how they get a lot of different people to come into agreement by different satanic music. And he says they don't even know it, but they're coming into agreement with what we want them to come into agreement with. That is different things coming onto them, different things coming inside of them, because they chose to listen to this satanic music, which they didn't even realize was satanic music. So he said may not understand that he's coming to agreement with this witch, but he has. Most definitely. And whether or not ASAP Rocky wants to admit to different things, there's stuff that he knows about within the dark realm, and he knows that it's dark. You understand? You gotta really just go back on some different things, because ASAP is the same dude who was in the middle of an upside down pentagram with candles and took this picture. You think this is just art? Because he'd probably say that. Oh, that's just art. It's a certain expressionism. That's just art. A satanic symbol, you standing in the middle of it. That's just art. And you got different people who will believe that, which is super dangerous. Because if you got people believing that, that means the youth is also going to follow your direction on where you're leading them. Now you got millions of youth doing the same thing you did, thinking that they're going to have the same outcome you had. Now you're leading millions to destruction. Millions of souls. Blood is on your hands at that point. Because of the ignorance you had. Which probably wasn't even ignorance. You probably knew what you were doing. You know? ASAP has kids now. Rihanna is his girlfriend, I believe. Not his wife yet, but you know, he has a whole family. Probably thinking differently now. So now he's like, you know, I can't control what Michelle Lamy does. I can't control that, but probably thinking differently. Either way it goes, you know, people like him, I pray that the Lord, the light penetrates whatever they were in, and they come into a new space of light and God, and wanting to lead people to God instead of destruction. Many of these people were leading people to destruction, including ASAP Rocky. May he take a new path and lead people to light.
This is the last video. Important. Totally importante.
Well, it turns out Havana syndrome is real, and our next guest has been documenting it for years. But then after the COVID vaccine rollout, suddenly he started noticing incredible similarities, increases in complaints coming forward that 100% were identical to what he was seeing with Havana syndrome. He's featured in a new documentary that might be the most mind-blowing report we've ever seen on the COVID vaccine. It looks at the shots in our bodies almost acting as transmitters, broadcasting signals. And one of the most eye-opening scenes from the trailer shows signals being received, and then the camera pans back and you realize the signals are coming from underground, 6 feet underground, in the corpses in the graveyard. People that had taken the shot, now dead, but still sending a signal. Watch.
Way back in 1778, the Continental Congress unanimously passed America's first whistleblower law.
I did this clearly at my own jeopardy.
It recognized the duty to give the earliest information to Congress of any misconduct, frauds, or misdemeanors committed.
Specific. I'm going to play these last 7 minutes here. In the middle of this, I'm going to put this link in the chat. And Tom, I'm going to answer your question. Hold on.
Electrical shocks through the torso, which is now defined as buffeting. Okay. Now, these individuals are truly being tortured and affected 365 days a year, 24/7. It is completely debilitating. And what Dr. Hall was doing was utilizing a general frequency detector, scanning people to see if they can detect anything around their person. And they were coming up positive. And I had said to him, well, isn't that enough to go to the general practitioner and get further diagnostics? He says, no. As soon as they go and they say they hear auditory symptoms, he says they are being forced institutionalized and forced medicated. And he says they're being re-victimized. And I said, well, my background as a firefighter paramedic and being involved in IRBs and studies and looking for objectivity, I said, well, there's got to be a way to take this subjective complaints and turn it into objective data. So that's when I decided to call that meeting in Sacramento, California. When 100 people showed up, I said, we have something. So I decided to start doing mass scanning in the field in conjunction with obtaining survey data to see who was most affected by this. And the data started to paint a picture. 300 people showed up at our first event in Davis, California. And what the data was showing is the persons most affected by this during that time were Caucasian females, recently single, widowed, or divorced, highly educated, then Caucasian males, in the same sequence, African Americans, Asians, and then Hispanics. And it dwindled down in ethnicity from there. And I go, is this some type of where African American and Caucasian African Americans became number one and Caucasians were number two. And that stayed consistent to the East Coast except for one another. I was invited by a bunch of military subcontractors who were all having these same complaints. And they found out about my work and they said, can you please come and scan us? That ultimately took me to Europe. I was invited by a government agency to test their diplomats. And for me to bring anyone who I felt sure was suffering from this phenomenon. They allowed me to use a research facility, test these individuals in a Faraday cage, anechoic chamber, which is a robust Faraday cage, and it was rated to block out frequencies between 8 kilohertz and 19 gigahertz. The frequencies we were detecting out in the field were well within that. So we used controlled people, which our frequency counters read 0 for the first time ever. So we knew we were in the right environment. When we brought in those symptomatic individuals, we were detecting frequencies. So it was at that point we conclude, for whatever reason, these frequencies are emitting from the human body. Ultimately, that led to the Bonnie Kellerby cases where they started doing surgical removals, finding these biosensors. Now, in 2016, which is far further, you know, in the future from 2010, it was recognized, but from our diplomats and our FBI agents and CIA agents and congressional members, Colonel Eggering testified that this is happening to all of them, but they're saying it only happens to federal employees. We know for a fact that this has been happening, at least we've been documenting since 2010, to U.S. citizens here in the United States. Why else would the head doctor of a three-letter agency contact me and tell me, you and Dr. Hall kind of Renaissance men, and you're absolutely correct. There's significant overlap between the 338 federal employees that he's treating for Havana syndrome and our clients are the same. He said the only difference is that you are surgically removing biosensors. Tell me more.
We have got to the point where literally anybody.
So I have so many questions. It's not just affecting federal employees, as you've documented. It's affecting average Americans, white Caucasian women, newly single, widowed, men, white Caucasian men in that strata. And have you been able to trace back the moment when this started? An injection, some sort of a doctor's visit, some sort of a vaccine? I mean, how is this getting into their bodies, or does it have to be injected into their bodies?
Very good question. So a little bit about the history in a very short amount of time. Back in the 1940s, the U.S. military was implanting our soldiers with RFID chips the size of a large grain of rice. Into the 80s, early 80s, it became a small grain of rice. Late 80s, they were now approaching the size on a letter of a penny. Okay? That has, and you're lucky if they can be identified on any type of medical imagery, because that can surgically be removed. What we noticed is post-COVID, I started getting just inundated by calls of people saying that they're suffering from this, and there was a huge spike. So when we were scanning people back then, maybe on average 4 to 7, 4 to 8 locations, high side was 10. Now post-COVID, when we're scanning people, the average is about 20 locations that they're lighting up. They're not random, they're very specific and very predictable. Back in the early 2010s, if you were incarcerated and we scanned you, we already knew you were incarcerated just by the pattern that was developing. We could superimpose all those over each other and they were identical. We can take soldiers, those who were in the military who are coming up positive. Their pattern was slightly different, but you can superimpose them over each other and they were identical. Then you can take the general population and their patterns were identical.
So watch the rest of that, and you'll be good to go. This is it. Turning the human body into a transmitter. Edna Taba, go ahead.
Abdur Koshar, you want Samus Pantimta. Majestic and Ivine gratitude to all our sacred Ivine and Gurbaniga ancestors who make patrimony. Chief Nane Shabel, all white Autochtons. Yeah, the nigger there. All right. Yeah. Kind of excuse again because this particular device, yeah, the other things don't work. And I don't want you done and I'm not getting the questions. So good. I think tonight's session was quite excellent. So I appreciate the IFA, the commitment again and everything that I put forward to this white Autochtons class, as I call it. Yeah, I truly appreciate their efforts and energy. In the face of all the way I see that I go through one thing, I never see the eye get shaken or a weak way and say you can't bother. So as a result, I not take them things for granted, but we overstand, say, you know, as a white nigger in the face of adversity, the I stay true to the white cause, and the nigger from Jamaica on behalf of Tunde's Indigenous Nation. And so we appreciate the eye to the fullest.
Much appreciated. Accepted for value and consideration.
White power. All right. So, question. What's the difference between CI, which is computer intelligence, and AI, what them call artificial intelligence?
CI is what we've syntaxed it as computer intelligence, because computation, when you look up the etymology of compute, termination is also part of that definition. They call it artificial, but artificial means it's fiction or it's not real or it's not original, but there's nothing artificial about AI because its ability to change programs, monitor people, take in their data, do biometrics on them, that has a real effect on people. So we don't call it CI for no reason. That's that's what it should be called. CI. Artificial is vague. It's just like, what is the matrix? People talk about it. I said, well, what is it? There has to be a definition. The matrix is we made that a syntax it as artificial mechanical uterus. So people could get an idea, okay, well, what's the shape? This is the shape of a uterus. So we say artificial mechanical uterus. So therefore, when people in the movie are in pods, they're connected to the uterus. So that's why they're in a state of being like they were grown and not being born, because they don't leave that pod. They're in that pod. The probes are connected to them. And then from there, they're connected to a computer or a mainframe. That's the
So
difference.
I said the symbol for the artificial is the shape of a womb.
It's the shape of a pyramid pointing down.
Oh,
That's also symbolic, representative of a woman, and a pyramid pointing up is representative of a man with his phallus erect.
And that is where some people call penis or cocky, depending on the language and culture.
Yes.
Correct. So, quite majestic. A pyramid pointing down, sacred womb. Pyramid pointing up, the majestic cock. Good. So computer intelligence is that, yeah. Like, how much more you can take?
I'm only doing one more because it's 3 hours and I got to go here. So if you would, speed up, this is why I ask people in advance to get their questions in. So go ahead.
Tell you what, we overstand the effort to take to present this, so we have to save the rest till Monday, because we want to rejuvenate and come forward again. So, full appreciation again.
Much appreciated.
White power.
Ta, your question was about
Don Lemon.
Now, Don Lemon, okay, let me tell you something about Don Lemon. Him getting arrested. Right? Agent. Anyone who knows about Don Lemon is gay. A lot of people don't even know that.
I don't know
So
that.
he's part of the homosexual manifesto. So he is married to an Amorite, or his partner is an Amorite man. A lot of people don't know that. So he hasn't been, after he got fired from CNN and he was all bent out of shape over it. Like, what are you getting bent out of shape for? Like, you already know what the deal is. So now, how he's nobody important. He's been out of the spotlight for years. Now he gets locked up. Nothing. Agent, That was that whole thing was set up there. He's not no human, civil rights advocate, no human rights advocate.
Right.
None of that. He was a broadcaster reading a script on TV. And now people are going to try to think he's some kind of freedom fighter. He hasn't been doing that. He was so on the fence. The fence was all up in his rectum. He didn't want to get on side of none of this, none of that, right? Because on TV, they say they're black. They say they're a person of color on TV.
Right.
But then when they go home, they have an Amorite husband or an Amorite wife. I'm like, okay, so how is that working out? It's a business relationship. So don't get fooled by that. He's nobody important. He's still black African American, have no standing at law.
Sure. One more thing. I was listening to the last video you were playing.
Yes.
And it was kind of strange. I was trying to figure out why did he say the white male twice? And then he said the second time he said the other variant of it. And I was like, is he talking about the nigger white?
No, he was talking about because they'll have the European and they'll have the American.
Okay.
Right. So the thing is, it's the women are becoming more susceptible to those nanoparticles,
Mm-hmm.
and then the men, and it's the same in each racial category.
Racial category.
Yeah.
Sure. I got you.
All right.
At Zoom.
At Zoom. So I appreciate
Oh.
Hashikador.
Shikador.
I appreciate Rawat out your head. So I appreciate everyone coming on again. If you have a business, if you have a business or you have a company that you want promoted, go ahead and get in touch with me. Okay, we're gonna tell everyone what I do. So get in touch. The webinar on Mondays. Give me a call, 587-712-0639. Right. Well, get on the chair. Get on the chair. Say what I do to everyone.
All right.
Man, see, push the door.
Closer.
Oh, you want to go closer? Oh my God. All right, see, push the door.
Shut the door.
Push the door. Push the door.
Shut the door.
Push the door.
Shut the door.
Push the door.
Shut the door.